Welcome again to another night of Will Stewart Rants. Here talking about the Aston Villa Spurs match coming up tomorrow afternoon. Kind of made maybe the cardinal sin of having to reschedule the stream a little bit. My son had his 12th birthday, and it ran a little long. You know how that is. And I wanted to make sure that it was nice and quiet for you guys today. I don't know why the stream looks a little blurry, but yeah. So anyway, we got quite a few guys on here already. So we're going to be talking tonight about the Aston Villa match tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and throw the link here in the chat. And if anybody wants to come on, it'll be there available. And then we can get started. But while I throw that in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. All right, guys, what's going on? Will Stewart here with another Tottenham Hotspur rant on the eve of the Aston Villa match. How important is this match tonight or tomorrow morning for whoever's watching, wherever you're watching from? It looks like we've even got some friends from Mexico here tonight. That's great. Everybody here in North and South America, we're here to do the stream for you guys to make sure that we can get some content that is at a little bit more of a reasonable time or a downtime going on from the North America, South America, this part of the world. Sorry, and thank you for the folks over there in the UK who are also watching the show. Great to have you. Thanks for staying up late with us. I wanted to start the show a little bit early tonight, but my 12-year-old son had his 12th birthday, and so had to reschedule a little bit. Let's go ahead and throw in our first guest here for the evening, straight from Canada himself. You know him, you love him, Cody Mack. Let's bring him in here. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, Will?
Not a whole lot, brother. I've seen you around the sphere a bunch of times. We've been on streams around the same time, but we've never had a chance to chat, and I'm looking forward to it, my friend.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you. You know, like living in similar time zones and, recognizing that there's a gap in content. And, I mean, like I said the other day, like what a better time to start a rant channel than right now. You start this rant channel 2 weeks ago, there probably isn't a whole lot going on, but right now is a good time. So cheers.
Yeah, and for ranting and stuff like that, it's more of a lighthearted. I guess it might have a little bit more of a negative connotation over in the UK than it does here in the States. Ranting is just kind of, you can rant positively, you can rant negatively. But there was a couple of people on Twitter was like, "Oh, them lot over there, they do all the ranting. We don't need to do that." And I was like, "That not that kind of show." Although it can be that kind of show, just depending on what's going on for the day, right? So,
yeah, bullshit, man, bullshit. You know, 99% of the ranting that I see going on about Spurs is coming directly from UK. So let's call it how it is.
Exactly. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So the beer of the night for tonight is Blue Moon for me. That's what
I am drinking. This is what I've been reduced to. I've been reduced to boxed wine. You know what? When I started supporting Spurs, I used to drink from bottles, and now I drink from boxes because that's just a quantity over quality thing.
No, I feel you. I definitely feel you. So tell us a little about your story, since we got some time here while people jump in.
Yeah.
How did you start following Spurs?
Well, when I was growing up, my dad was into Tottenham Hotspur, and football, or as we kind of know it here, soccer. I don't want to say the S word. I've kind of
Don't say the
eliminated
S
it.
word.
I've
You'll get
eliminated from
trouble.
my vocabulary. I used the word cleats on Twitter the other day, and I
It's
got
boots,
completely
man.
roasted.
Boots.
So,
Yeah.
I kind of started following loosely about 15 or so years ago, and ended up going off to college, and other priorities kind of got in the way and whatnot, but started following back a little bit more closely in the last few years, and then especially in the last 12 to 18, since we went on a Champions League run, for sure. It's become a lot more of an obsession. And I mean, I think I made my first online appearance to talk about Tottenham like 2 weeks ago, and since then I've been on like 6 different Spurs related channels. So
It's crazy how that happens, right?
yeah, it is absolutely. You know what, you have to admire the passion, and if you're going to be a Tottenham fan, passion is the one thing that's going to keep you going, especially in times like this. I mean, it's just so crazy to think that just the last 48 hours online has just been unbelievable. If you go back 7 days, the way we were kind of pumping ourselves up going into the North London derby, it's really hard to believe that we're sitting here having the types of conversations that we're having. But yeah, Spurs, man.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is, and I mean I have a kind of similar story. It's been a little bit more longer for 2 weeks for me. I think I've been a member for We Are Tottenham TV. I'd probably say probably right around a year. Probably subscribed for 2 years, and I've been a member. I can't remember how many different color badges they have, but it's been a while. And I used to go on their fan shows, after a game when I could. I just find it really hard because a lot of the times, especially the midweek games, it's either one. I have a 13-year-old son who plays football himself, so he has matches, if not Saturday and Sunday, but at least one of those days through the weekend. And it usually happens right around the time that Tottenham's playing. Or I live on the East Coast in the United States, so if it's an early game, it's like 7:30. So if I'm going to get on like a pregame show, I got to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I just find it really hard to be able to come on regularly. And that, that was when, like Matt Hayes and the Irish Hotspur, who's, who I really enjoy. That was before they were really into their prominence. That was when they were just starting out. I was just chatting with David over there, and I was like, hey, we don't have a lot of content from like 5 o'clock Eastern time until like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, or back that would be about what part of Canada are you in?
I'm in Ontario, so Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so you're in the same time zone as me, but like those folks out on the west, 2 o'clock our times, that's just right around 11 o'clock their time, so they don't have hardly anything going on, when it's evening time for them. And so I was just like, there's a gap here. And then I was hoping that Tottenham away, those guys over there, because 2 of them are from Canada, they would start doing more stuff. But because they have 2 other guys that are also in England themselves, they tend to do all of their stuff around the English time. So I was like, well, there's a gap here. Somebody needs to fill it. Marcelo wasn't really willing to do it. So I was like, I've got all this stuff here. I might as well go for it. So.
Man, the studio looks unreal. Absolutely. I just kind of strung up my jersey my shirt and my scarf in the background there, just so I looked a little bit legit. But no, and you know what? I've been following We Are Tottenham TV for about a year, and only joined a couple of weeks ago. I finally just said, you know what? I'm watching every single video. I have an opinion that I want to express when I go on there, and to see how many of these kind of spin-off channels that have been growing and spawning here in the last 3 or 4 months is unbelievable. And those guys deserve a lot of credit for kind of blazing a trail for people like you and people like David and all those smaller for now channels.
Yeah, and I mean, I tell you what, I watch a ton of those things too, and so I support a lot of them, with super chats and memberships, as many as I can. And it's just been a really great experience. I mean, when it first started, it was like We Are Tottenham TV, Chris Collin, George Aquila, and Expressions, right? And like those were the main four, and that was when they could actually go into matches. And then it was kind of around this, lockdown period where a couple other smaller ones, started popping up. You had, I think, Matt and Charlie THFC were kind of the first ones. And then you had, David and Lily White Lane, and then you had Simon and Bob Spur, and then I was like, hey, I gotta jump on board. And actually, I've been absolutely shocked at the amount of feedback and the amount of people that had jumped onto this North American stream, as quickly as they did. Because I mean, 2 days and we're almost at like 60, 70 subscribers, and I'm really humbled by and really glad that there was actually people out there that were wanting to, have some content around this time. And a lot of the UK guys have been jumping into staying up. I think David on the first stream stayed up with us till it was like 5 o'clock in the morning his time, and was in the chat and doing all that stuff. And I just hope that it grows, and the thing that I wanted to do was a little bit different, was just give like a free invite to everybody to come on, you know what I mean? So anybody who wanted to come in and have their say. You didn't have to have, well, I mean, obviously I'm too small right now to have any memberships or anything like that, but you don't have to have a membership. Just kind of be like an open forum where people can just kind of rant, whether it's a positive rant or a negative rant or, whatever. Just a place where a group in prime time when it's, quiet around your house, and we can just all get together and just talk about the team that we love to hate. Right.
the team that loves to hate us. That's for sure right now. But totally respect you for getting things going. And I mean, I was looking at your subscribers. I mean, what did you start this like 2 days ago? It's just incredible. And it's you have to be patient if you really want a channel like this to succeed and become something bigger. What I see is that you're kind of just doing this out of the love of the club and to provide kind of a voice. I know I see the Irish Hotspurs in the comments already. Yeah. David, I hope you got something to eat, man. I was watching the stream earlier, and you said like we're going to be done in like 5 minutes, and then you went on for like 90 more minutes after you said that you were going to starve. So I hope you got something to eat, bud. But I think the thing is, if it's about getting to different levels as a channel, and I don't want to make like a dark comparison, but if you end up going viral, that growth can be exponential. So if there's a spot here for you to slot in and have voices heard, absolutely, I fully support it, and that's why I wanted to come on tonight.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and then I mean we've got guys from Mexico. We had like Mexico Spurs SC over here. He had subscribed and watched, and I didn't even really. I mean, I knew that. I mean, I live in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I see a lot of Hispanic people rolling around with Spurs shirts and like that. But I didn't know there was a big following for Tottenham in Mexico. I can't remember any Mexican players that we've signed over the last 10 or 15 years. I could be wrong, but
for sure.
But no, it's just a great thing. It's great that it's growing, and he says it's much needed in North America. It's like I agree with you, man. It's just hard to get at a quiet house. I'm either at work or my kids are at home or stuff like that. So, I did a lot of this when I would go on to shows. It would be out of my garage because that was the only quiet place that I could find in the house and all of that stuff. So, I mean, I just think it's a great place to hang out and to just chat and talk and do whatever. And I think right now too was kind of just a prime time. There's a lot to talk about, obviously, with, everything that's going on. I mean, and all the channels for me, I just find extremely entertaining. Like today, I don't know if you caught today's show on Chris's channel with David and Alex, and that's always a good time. And then David coming on and bringing in Marcelo again after a while, and they got them all fired up and worked up. And David, if you want to come in off cam, you can still come in with just your voice if you want, if you're lying in bed and you don't want to show your beautiful face. But if you just want to get the voice in there, you can just come up no cam, right, and do it. That's how we roll over here at the THFC Rants. It's a more of a casual atmosphere. But Cody, getting into the game tomorrow, what are your insights into what you think the result's going to be? Like, how do you think we're going to set up? What do you think the issues are going to be? Just kind of go over your feeling for the game tomorrow.
Well, I mean, we're certainly going to find out a lot about our football club tomorrow, both in the way that they get set up, the starting 11, the bench, and how the players come out. Because I mean, it's not there's an entire spectrum of results, and it's normal to kind of expect that, okay, well, maybe you win, maybe you lose, maybe you draw, but have we ever been more focused on the way that the players are going to come out than we are going to be going into the Aston Villa game tomorrow? Because we've seen 2 games here in the last 7 days where we've had certain expectations, and those expectations have not been met in terms of heart and mettle, attitude, respect. It's just been a very frustrating week to be a Spurs fan and to see the players playing the way that they are. And there are so many questions, and everyone kind of has their own opinion as to what the answer is, whether it's Jose or the players or the board. You know, like who would have thought this time last week when we were all sitting around hyping up our squad going into the North London derby that we'd be sitting here wondering whether or not we can even challenge Aston Villa. So a lot of questions to be answered tomorrow, and with 2 weeks off after tomorrow, man, who knows what's going to happen. But if we see the kind of effort that we have seen here in the last 2 games, you have to wonder whether or not Jose can survive another 90 minutes of that kind of performance, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, what do you think the big, besides the whole Jose in, Jose out thing, what do you think is the big difference? And I guess you could say the way that we've been playing. Like, what do you see from a technical aspect of what has changed between, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, to what you saw at Arsenal and Zagreb?
Well, I mean, the quality of the competition, I mean, we really should have had enough to beat Zagreb easily. Arsenal took it to us. They just had a much better attitude. Both squads had a better attitude. But how I have been trying to digest what has been going on is trying to zoom out on the bigger picture of our season and say, okay, if we go player by player and look at the number of minutes that they've been given and the amount of trust that they've been shown and the amount of confidence that they have been exuding on the field, it's hard. You could basically just take our whole squad and divide them into 2 groups. On one hand, you've got your inner circle, that inner circle that are trusted by Jose Mourinho, and you've got everyone else who is kind of taken their turn on the carousel and been at one point or another kind of frozen out for maybe 4 or 5 games at a time. And it's really hard. I mean, we really expect a lot of our players in our club, and we should. We're Tottenham Hotspur. But you can't expect players to be playing at a high level when they're being inserted into the squad infrequently and inconsistently. Certain players I would exempt from the way that they've been playing. Other players I would say, okay, maybe you're just not playing for the badge. But man, there's more questions than there are answers right now, and it's hard to choose who to make excuses for. But the reality is, we expect more. We expect more as fans than we've seen we've seen all season.
Yeah, and I've gotten the reputation to be kind of like a stat man and stuff like that. So, when we had our last dip in form, after, especially after Sergio Reguilon got hurt, and then Kane, had his ankle issues. Just even also in those games where we drew and we probably shouldn't have, right? Like with Newcastle and West Ham the first time around. And I've noticed that we go through these really kind of poor passing droughts where the passing becomes really lazy and kind of fickle. about how we complete passes. And if you notice the games that we actually perform really, really well, the players look sharp, the passes are crisp, they're quick, but everything's with the instep of the foot. They're placing it where it should be. And then when you go into I went back and rewatched as hard as it was. I just kind of like do this as somebody who's really into like the tactical aspect of the game and trying to grow in my understanding of the game so that I can help my son out in his journey. And the passes were all off balance. The pace was off. It was slow where they should have been taking a pass in 1 or 2 touches. They were taking them in 3 or 4. There was just no urgency on the ball, right? They weren't when we're really playing well, you can kind of see the ball, the movement, the ball movement on the pitch is almost like a rondo, right? It's just boom, 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 boom. Whereas in these last 2 matches, if you really watch it close, it's slow, it's lethargic. They're off balance. They're using weird parts of their feet instead of the instep. The weight of the pass is really slow. And if you really look at the statistics of pass completion rates, not only does the overall pass rate drop, but the percentage goes from like 85 to like 70%. And that's been the real common theme to me. And I just don't understand how sometimes we can come out firing on all cylinders. Everything's real, crisp and sharp. Just even from in possession type of a thing versus what we've seen in the last. I just don't understand the inconsistency between the players, and I can't really pinpoint it other than who's playing really in the midfield or in the wingback positions. That seems to, especially in possession, that seems to be the real
problem. You know what? If you think back to I don't know I forget if it was the Burnley game or the Palace game where Gareth Bale scored that magnificent goal where he just wand of a left foot right into the top corner. But the process leading up to that goal was very much a tic-tac-toe kind of, you had a congestion of players, 3 Spurs players, 3 Burnley players, where it was just tick to Son, tick to Reguilon, back to Son, and then Son to Bale, and that was it. And we didn't see it. I don't know if it was it's hard to just use terms like mentality. Like what was the term mentality even mean? Like, where does a mentality come from? Is a mentality a thing that a player brings to the pitch, or is a mentality the thing that the player earns from performing on the pitch, or is a mentality instilled by the manager? We all kind of look at ourselves when we find ourselves in moments like this and we're forced to introspect as Spurs fans. It kind of always comes back to this whole, like, we as a club have a soft mentality and we're easy to turn over. Even think of how many games where not only games where we concede first and then roll over, but also there's been a lot of games where we have scored first and then we've ended up turned over as well. So this whole argument about mentality, like what is mentality? Where does it come from? Do we buy it? Like,
right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, before I give you my thoughts, I'm going to bring in the man, the legend himself, all the way from Ireland at way, way, way too late for him to be up. It is himself, the Irish Hotspur. David, what's going on, my man?
How we lads? How we keeping? I was just watching the UFC, and I had this on in the background, so I said, look, Will, you've been nothing but nice to me, man. You've shown me nothing but support and love, so why not come on and return the favour?
Who's winning the fight, man?
It's not the last time you're going to see me here either. I'm a night owl compared to the time over here. I don't go to sleep to maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. So look, what better way to do it than talk about Tottenham with my American and Canadian friends and audience.
Yeah,
David, you're a vampire. Swear to God, you're a vampire. Listen, I was watching your stream earlier, and I thought that you absolutely roasted Marcelo on the debate. I didn't think Marcelo made any actual tangible points. And like whatever, it's like picking between your two favorite children if you're a fan of watching Tottenham Hotspur online. But yeah, absolutely. And cheers, bud. The stream last night was brilliant. It really was. The in-depth view into the last 8 to 10 years of what's gone on at this club. I thought it was, I learned quite a bit, because if I'm being honest, I can't say that I would have been able to just rattle off all that stuff. And it was very informative. So excellent stream last night.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, no. Look, first of all, with Marcelo, look, it's not about roasting Marcelo. I never wanted to be about that. I do want it to be a debate. But look, like all my thing is if you're going to hold Jose Mourinho to these standards when you didn't hold your previous managers to the damn standards, you're not really being fair, are you? And this is where I'm coming from. And what I tried to do with that stream that I actually created last night, look, that was something I actually had in the works for a while. But I parked it. I parked it because I wanted to support the team out through to the end of the season. But when I seen how easy, like, the fan base can kind of just say these things, and like over streams, I haven't been able to get out like my stance on it and where I've really been coming from. So that's why last night I had to do the stream on my own, and I had to have it all written down because there's too much to remember as well. And I had to get it out there from my point of view. And look, it worked in my opinion, because a lot of people are now awake to it. Awake to the core issue at the club. And, like even down to the things of bringing in Nagelsmann and Rodgers. Look, Pochettino was a one-system man, doesn't change his way. Like Will has said before, and I did rob that stat from Will, by the way, from that November to the following November when he got sacked, we would have been relegated. So if Nagelsmann and Rodgers don't change their system, well, what do you think is going to happen with this same group of players? Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing, like, and even to this thing of like, but we can still get rid of Mourinho and do a rebuild in the summer. So with Mourinho, we're already 2 years down from this painful rebuild we're supposed to go through. You bring in the likes of Nagelsmann, it's another 5-year rebuild. It's going to be probably 3 years before you see any benefit from that, really, in terms of challenging for Champions League again, in my opinion. But like, why would you do that when you can do a shorter rebuild under Mourinho? The best defensive coach in the world. This is all the Jose out people's argument.
Amen.
The best defensive coach in the world.
Honestly,
that's not what we need at Tottenham. But why would you not give him the money then to improve your defense when it's your biggest Achilles heel?
Changing the manager is not going to solve the problem, and that's what you've been saying. And I totally believe what you're saying. So we need to invest. We can all acknowledge that. You tell me who is going to win the Premier League with fucking Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez as their top two center backs, and Toby Alderweireld is right there as well. But when the thing is, if you build a club and the defensive line is going to be at the base of the foundation, you can win games with a good defense and a bad striker, but you can't win with a good striker and a bad defense. You fucking can't. You can't consistently win. So, yeah, absolutely. Sacking Jose is not the answer. Absolutely not.
And I do want to make one thing clear as well. Sorry, Will, just quickly.
No, go ahead.
Look, anyone that thinks I'm a Mourinho fan, look, I was always a Tottenham Hotspur fan. 100% always was and always will be. But I just think sacking Mourinho is not in the best interest of Tottenham Hotspur, because like I also explained, you're going to lose Kane, you're going to lose Son, Toby Alderweireld and Lloris, and that makes the rebuild even bigger. And this is the problem, because like even if you look back to the documentary, Kane stayed. The noises he was making before he came into the club, like he had that interview with Jamie Redknapp, and he was saying, look, as long as Tottenham are progressing, I'll stay, but if not, I might have to leave to go and look to win trophies. Mourinho came in, the first thing he done was pull Kane into his office. It was that documentary. Stick with me, I'll turn you into the best player in the world. Now, he's not going to ask Kane to stick with him if he's only here for short term. That's my opinion. But Kane also stayed and hasn't mentioned anything about leaving since because of Mourinho. Alderweireld, when he signed his new contract, came out and said, I'm signing my new contract and I'm staying, which no one could get him to do before Mourinho came in. And he stayed, clearly stated, because I've always wanted to work with Jose Mourinho. So he stayed because of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
This is the team.
To me, this is one of the biggest holes in the argument that Marcelo was trying to make on your stream earlier, is that, you know, and he was just pulling numbers out of his ass, let's face it, but he was trying to say that Jose had lost 70% of the room. Well, you tell me, out of those players, do you think Harry Kane's vote should be worth 1-to-1? Do you think Harry Kane's vote should be worth the same as Matt Doherty's? Right? If every single player in that dressing room is against Jose, but Harry is on board, I'm going with Harry Kane as a Spurs fan. That's what I think.
I mean, you have to. Him and Son are the only two people we can't really afford to lose, and we're at the biggest risk. And after you and David, after you finish your point, I want to go in. I want to kind of take this talk into that direction, because I think that if things don't go well, or if Jose were to go, you're at a bigger risk of losing Son than anything. And we can talk about that in a minute, but go ahead and finish your thought on what you guys were talking about earlier.
Just even with Son, look, he hasn't signed his contract. Is that because there is so much talk about Mourinho? You don't know. And this is the thing. You know how much his father has invested in Son. He lives with Son. You know what I mean? He tells Son what he can and can't have in his apartment. Do you know what I mean?
He tells him
did
when
you watch
he can
that
and can't get
sensational
married.
documentary?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, madness. But the thing is, like, you know, you can also guarantee his father is in his son's ear saying, look, you know, we put all this time in so you can win things, so you can win trophies. You know what I mean? And that ultimately, when your players of that caliber, it's going to come down to that when your next contract is rolling around. It's a big decision. Okay, do I stick and become a club legend, or do I like all the effort, time I've put in to develop myself, the amount I've helped this team? You know what I mean? Big games, the amount of times I've turned up and okay, like, you know, I've bottled it in the end, but do I have the caliber of players around me to get me over this line? To you know what I mean? To help me on these big occasions. So that all has to be brought into it. It's all well and good coming on and saying Mourinho out, and you know, he's lost the dressing room and he's not doing this and he's not doing that. But like what I tried to do with my stream yesterday was just take yourself out of the immediate argument to Josie in, Josie out, why, everyone's reasons why, and look at the bigger picture. And when I went back and looked at the players, when I went back and looked at Poch's era and found, you know, that look, when he started losing his best players, because it's a narrative, oh, but Poch got more out of these. But when I went back and really looked into it, and his best players left, and he had to rely on the likes of Winks and Sissoko, because let's face it, most of his 11s up until them players were either sold, whatever the reasons, their injuries, everything else, it was more or less you could pick that 11 every week. It was more or less the same 11, bar one or two in and out. But when he had to rely on the likes of Sissoko and Winks as a partnership in midfield when Yama and Dembele's knees were busted, what happened? Results stopped, and it cost Poch's job. And this is the thing. And now they're going to do the same for another manager. Now, my position is two of the greatest and most in-demand managers in world football, Pochettino and Jose Mourinho. Well, they both can't be bad managers, can they?
No, you're right. And I mean, this kind of came up yesterday too. And when we were when Jason and I were talking, not quite as organized as how you put it in your stream, you know, yesterday. But
that's a fine, lad, believe me.
Yeah. As we were just kind of going through and just ranting along about different things, I mean, we hit on a lot of the topics that you hit on, and I agree with it, you know, 100%. You know, especially for that aspect of it, and you know, kind of getting into this Son aspect. And for people that don't know, if you're not watching, I lived in Korea for 13 years. I speak fluent Korean. Not only do I watch a lot of, you know, because like I watch you, David. I watch Charlie. I watch Matt. I watch, you know, the boys. You know, Sim.
You give everyone support, Matt, and I think
you're
going to get that repaid. I can tell you that now.
I go everywhere only because I'm an absolute sponge for knowledge, right? And I love this club so much. I mean, this is just my office, for crying out loud. You see my kids' room and my other rooms and my closet, right? I mean, because I feel as an American fan, I can't go to the games every week. I can't be a season ticket holder. So the only way that I can
Neither
support
can
the
I,
club
Will,
is
and
to buy.
I'm only across the pond, and I still can't get there every week. You know, I can only get over once or twice a year. But you
Yeah.
know,
So
some
I mean,
people label us armchair fans, but we're not really, are we?
no, I mean, because I wake up, like I was telling Cody earlier, waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning to watch a match, and I feel like that. I always buy like the pro version of the shirt or the elite version of the shirt, at least one, if not two or three, just depends on how good they look. Like for this particular season, I think I have all three, first, second, and third, just because it was a good year. This year, I'm not a huge fan of the. I have the yellow shirt, but I don't have the other two. I'm not a huge fan of those, but I just try to buy as much stuff from TottenhamHotspur.com as I can to support the club, because all that money goes right back into transfers.
Yeah.
It goes into what to help building the club, to help paying for the stadium, to help us getting in new players. And the thing that concerns me the most is I watch just as many channels in Korean as I do in English, right? Just because I'm just, especially around this time, and before I started doing the show, this was the time that I really started watching a lot of the Korean channels, because like in Korea right now, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So, I really have gotten to hear, and you have to understand that there's a cultural aspect to Korea too, and like a nationalistic pride is really important, and he has
Like
that whole weight. Yeah, he has exactly like Colin McGregor. He has this entire country on his shoulders, screaming, and every newspaper, every magazine, every social media post in Korean is, this club's coming after Son, right? I mean, a couple weeks ago it was Juventus. During the winter break, it was Real Madrid. Right now they're talking about Barcelona, and they all want a lot of the Korean fan base, and I would say probably 95%, right? Because you do have some Korean fans that support Arsenal, or Man United is another big one, or Liverpool and stuff like that. But 95% of the Koreans who are supporting Tottenham are Son Heung-min fans. They're not Tottenham Hotspur fans. It's different, right? It's different. They follow the play. It's almost kind of even like American sports are a lot like that, where you got a lot of people who are Tom Brady fans for the New England Patriots, and now they're Tom Brady fans for the the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Like their loyalty really follows the players more than it follows the club itself or the team itself, and they're really, 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 really pushing for him to move, and that noise has been going on for probably since after the Champions League final loss. That was really when the noise started kicking up. And then when we were top of the league, it kind of died down. You stopped seeing a lot of, Korean comments and We Are Tottenham TV's chats, after the matches. But then, when we went on that 5-6 run, it's like anytime we start going bad, the paper, and it's not just fans on social media, it's the newspapers, the TV programs, it's Talk Sports and everybody else, all over the place in Korea, and there's some cultural weight there. There's a lot of pressure for him, because he's, Park Ji-sung is a national hero in Korea for what he did at the 2002 World Cup and what he did for Man United, right? And Son Heung-min, like this past World Cup, got so much hate from Korean fans because they went out. The whole country blames him, not anyone else on the team, him. And they want him, they expect him to be the first Korean player to play for, Real Madrid, or the first Korean player to play for Barcelona, right? These are firsts, right, for Korean players. And, it's a huge thing for folks over there. I mean, and I just think it's kind of silly that a lot of Tottenham fans, just kind of blindly trust, oh no, Son loves the club, right? And they're talking about who's that Italian media guy that always does all the
Fabrizio Romano.
Fabrizio Romano. And he's like, no, Son's happy, he's gonna sign a contract. I'm telling you right now, this has nothing to do with, he's not going to come out and say the things that I'm saying right now. These are cultural expectations that you can't escape from if you're a Korean. If you had lived in Korea for 13 years, you would understand, right? Like let's say you were, the first Irish player to ever play for Barcelona and win a Champions League, right? The amount of, the pressure that like when Conor McGregor loses, all of Ireland feels like they've lost, right? It's that kind of feeling.
Look, I can fully understand that, and I can fully understand the importance of it, because coming from a small isle, look, anyone that makes it, no matter in what capacity, you know what I mean? The whole weight of the nation goes behind it. The whole way. Look, our fans are revered all over the world, even when we travel to international competitions, because just the sheer amount of look, you're never going there expecting anything, but we go there in numbers to back our boys. Look, even that World Cup in America, oh man, look, I don't really remember too much of it. Bit before my time, but look, my old lad tells me, and look, I know people that were out there and all. The support out in America for Ireland was crazy. It was crazy, and the amount of Irish that go, Irish flock around, and I can understand where it comes from the weight of the nation, and I can fully understand it, and it is something that people have to take into account, because, look, as loyal as Son wants to be, you can still have love for Tottenham, but ultimately, the weight of a nation does play on you, and it does kind of dictate your next move, in a sense. Like, it's huge. Another point you were touching on there, Will, just about, like, the times that you get up for and off for the games. And before I actually started YouTube, it's never really something that, I knew we had a worldwide fan base, but I never really took in consideration the dedication that you go through to watch games, right? Because, like, for instance, you could have a day's work, you could sleep. So some days there could be maybe a match on at 5 o'clock in the morning. You're getting up watching that, and then you probably have a full day's work. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. It's insane. I could only imagine putting that commitment in. It's madness. Like, the passion that you guys show for the club is honestly, it's nuts. It's nuts, and it's not something I was aware of before YouTube. But since starting YouTube, it's given me a whole new found respect for the worldwide global fan base that some of the times people wake up for just to tune in and watch Tottenham, even though it's painful sometimes, but they still do it religiously. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, me in stats, right? I saw an interesting stat today on Wikipedia that there are 3 million Spurs fans in the UK and 180 million Spurs fans worldwide. So the majority of our fan base is outside of the UK, right? So, you got it. You can't neglect all of us people over here, and honestly, too, that's what really got my. I mean, it's fine if people do it to me because I have thick skin, but especially when because I think me and Marcelo were probably like the first two American guys to go on We Are Tottenham TV, right? I can't remember too many others that were coming on around that time, when they first started doing these live fan shows. Yeah, and now there's just a ton of them, right? From Canada and the US, and but that's when I started seeing a lot more snark comments about soccer this and go back to your soccer and go back to your this or that or blah 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 blah. But honestly, a lot of the opinions that I see on social media or I see on Facebook or I even see on YouTube on other channels are far, far worse than any opinion that I've ever given. You know what I mean? Like the accent doesn't have anything to do with, with how much you know about football. And that's another thing too.
It's just that old stupid thing though, Will, isn't it? Look, it's social media. As soon as someone doesn't agree with what you have to say, they're gonna try and get at you in some way to try and get a reaction out of you. But like then the next day they could 100% be agreeing with what you're saying. You know what I mean? It's just a social media game. Unfortunately, it comes with it. It's not right though. It's not right, and it's no way correct because honestly, you know what I mean. I think and this isn't a judgment or anything, but I do think that Americans and Canadians tend to get into things a lot more than what maybe us people over this side of the world, but like you get so into it, you're so passionate, you dedicate, you spend hours researching, you do all the analysis, whereas some people just watch the games week to week and they say this and they say that on reflection of what they've seen that day, but you guys, you know everything. Do you know what I mean? It is madness, like.
Well, a lot of that for me personally, and I'll let Cody talk on it on where he thinks his passion comes from here in a sec. But for me, it really has it had a lot to do with when my son started playing at a serious competitive level, right? When his tactical ability started to exceed my own, I felt like as a dad, if I'm going to help him achieve his goal, because he wants to go pro, just like every other kid does. But for me and my attitude, the way I have it, me, owning my own business and kind of being an entrepreneur in that standpoint, the people who succeed are the people who try hard and don't give up, right?
Yeah.
There's the people who don't go pro. The only reason 10% of people or 1% of people end up going pro is because they're the 1% of the people that work the hardest, right? It's not, gross, pure, raw talent will only take you so far if you don't have look at Harry Kane, right? Kicked out of the Arsenal Academy, at around my son's age, right? And now he's ended up wanting to be one of the best strikers in the world, or it is going to be in the conversation for one of the best strikers in history, right? So it's not because Harry Kane was born with some special raw superhuman power. It's because he had hard work and dedication, and he wouldn't give up, right? He had that drive going on and keep going forward, to get up every day, to go and do trials at other clubs, to pick himself up out of the dirt when everybody's mocking him because of the way he talks or doing whatever. Is I'm gonna shut you up on the pitch, right? That was his. You got to have that mentality, and what I think is there's a lot of, especially in this day and age, in just in 2020, 21, I think that's what's missing from a lot of the other players at our club, especially with like Harry. I've gone in on Lamella for a while now, but I mean, at least he puts in work and ethic. And the thing that makes me hate, the only reason why I don't go harder on Harry Winks is because there's not so much of a cry for him to stay or to start, or everybody's in pretty much general agreement that
Harry wasn't to start with, but I dispelled that very, very quickly throughout the fan base.
Yeah, but I mean, his attitude lately has been absolutely, narcissistic and ridiculous. I mean, it was just him. Like, he deserves to play. He deserves to play for Tottenham Hotspur because he's a good squad player, right? But no, he doesn't even think himself as a squad player. He wants to start, right? Because Jose played him. And that was the thing, too. Like Alex today, when you were talking with Alex over on Chris's channel, and he was going on and on about Harry Winks this, Harry Winks that, Poch got so much out of this. In Poch's last season, full season, he only had 17 starts. I mean, I looked the stat up right there while you guys were chatting. It's like, I'm gonna hit him with this one, right? Because he had more straight starts under Jose Mourinho than he ever did under Poch in the 1920 season, from November to the end of the year, right? So,
but that's because he only came into the squad at December. That's the thing, this is the thing. They tried to pout off the narrative that he was there throughout the whole time and he was a starter throughout the time, but he didn't. He only came in that December once Dembele went out injured.
Right. No, I know, and what really makes me mad is that people are so and not to go in on Alex, because I think Alex is a nice guy. I just think that and he called my argument lazy, and that's when I had to show him, like, no, this isn't a lazy stat, brother. This is the real deal. There's a difference between stats and there's a difference between nuanced stats, right? You can't take like Marcel's stats, winning percentage, right? And then without adding into all the other figures, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can look and say, in the house down the road, 80% of the people are blind, right? But that doesn't mean 80% of the people in America are blind, just because 80% of the people in the house down the road that only has 2 people that live in it, right? I mean, one's completely blind and the other old lady is half blind, right? So I mean, that's statistics. You have to be based in context, right? And that's what people don't understand. And I think a lot of times people take things completely out of context and they use their emotions to guide them on their opinions. But, we'll switch over to Cody here. Cody, what do you think? Where do you think that your passion and your desire for Spurs really kind of came from or started?
Well, listen, I mean, we're all Spurs in the end. It's really hard to talk about that when we have such a disappointing week. But when it comes to what you were just talking about now and statistics and whatnot, did you watch the Hotspur this week on We Are Tottenham TV with John and Sim?
No,
John was trying to argue that statistics are useless. And I know that it was a little bit of an overbearing beginning to his argument, but basically his argument was that statistics without context are useless. And he's right. And I think that's where you get a lot of the problems within fan bases, is that they really don't know how to look at the statistics and apply them to the deeper problems that result in the club. So, I don't know. It's just been a really hard week to be a Spurs fan. You know what I mean?
No,
go ahead.
No, they really do make no difference, right? Because it's like this thing on Lamela, right? You watch Lamela on the pitch. He runs fast. He works hard. He looks like he's getting things done. But when you look at his run stats, right, his average kilometers per match, 1.9 per match. So that's not like, it's not because he's had so many appearances. That's the average per appearance, right? Not because he's been there for 8 years and there's 38 games or things, so you divide by that. No, I'm talking per 90 that he's played, right? Per match he's played, 1.9. Hugo Lloris is 1.7. Everyone else in the club is 3.8. Then you go and you find a heat map, and you look at his heat map from 18-19, and the guy runs sideways this way. That's all he runs.
Yep.
He doesn't run up and down the pitch from box to box. It's left to right, right? Touchline, sideline to sideline.
What did you guys see Thursday from Harry Winks? Honestly, because I didn't see a single fucking dispossession. I didn't see a single forward pass. I didn't see a single tackle. All I saw was that, just what you're talking about, that side to side and that backwards movement, that safe, that attitude that, well, I don't want to be the one to make the mistake, right?
Well, and then too, even when you look at Lamela's defensive stats, his headed clearances, his aerial battles won, his not necessarily tackles, right? But if you look at his attempted tackles to successful tackles, it's shocking. And then the number of yellow cards that he has, it's like 300 over 8 years. I mean, I may be off on that, but I think 300 might be his total amount.
Maybe.
Is it from I don't know, 300, 200 something to 300 is up there, but I mean, the stats for that stuff. Gareth Bale this season has better defensive staffs, more aerial battles won, and that's what shocks people. Like, people look at Lamela and they think, "Wow, he's doing a really good job." So for me, my opinion isn't coming from the fact that I hate Eric Lamela because he has a dash over the E in his name, right? That's not why I don't like Eric Lamela. I don't like Eric Lamela, not for emotional reasons, but because he's had 8 goals, 7 assists, and 30 something red cards in his last 96 appearances at the club, right? And he's supposed to be like, if we're talking like Harry Winks, or I don't go on Harry Winks and how many goals he scored. Have you ever heard me say that, David? Harry Winks doesn't score enough goals, or Højbjerg doesn't score enough goals. No, he's a winger or an attacking midfielder. As an attacking midfielder, you should at least be getting 8 goals and 8 assists a season, right? Around 16 goal contributions a year. If you're a good quality attacking player, right? That's all I expect. I expect the same thing for my kid in his club, right?
Yeah.
Over a full year, right? You need to have at least 16 goal involvements. You look at Lamela's big chances created, abysmal. Goals scored, abysmal. But granted, 14, 15, 15, 16, right? People are saying this is his best season he's ever had. No, in 15, 16, he had 9 goals and 5 assists. That's a good season for an attacking midfielder / winger. right? That's a good season. Right? I can get behind a player who does that, right? And he's just not that way. And Harry Winks' attitude is just horrible. But I've gone on
Like
this.
even Harry Winks, like
Listen.
there was one game there. It was against Fulham, the first time we played them, the 1-1. And people were saying, "Oh, but Harry Winks had a good game," and I was like, "But he didn't." Like, no, he did. I was like, "But he didn't put in any tackles. He's in the centre midfield, and that's where you're supposed to win the ball. That's where you're supposed to turn over the ball most. He didn't put in one tackle. How can you say he's had a good game?" See, like the thing, and this thing's the things with stats. Like Lamela looks better but when you go into the stats, he's not as good. But Winks looks better, but when you go into the stats, he's shit. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. But it all comes down to the thing. It's like you were saying, Will. It's stats, but with context. Like there's the stat being banded around. Oh, but we haven't bet any of the last 8 teams or the top 6 teams in so many games. And I'm like, but over the context of a season, the top 5, 6 teams, you don't usually do the double on them, but we bet most of them first time round. You know what I mean? And then when you lose players to injuries and stuff like that, it's not really telling the full picture. And the thing is, some people get so bogged down in stats nowadays without applying the context and looking at the bigger picture, and they form their opinion off a stat they see. Like one day they're this, the next day they're that, and it's like, when just apply some context to it. Like it's very easy to say, oh, but we went through 4 weeks without winning a game, but we were missing Reguilon. Harry Kane had a period out injured through that period. Toby Alderweireld had a period out with a tight hamstring. There's loads of players that had injuries throughout that period. So, and when we have the shit bags we do that are to come in and replace them, and they're as shit as they are, how do you expect to win games? How do you expect to play the same way? And this is the thing. Like, and another thing that annoys me, under Pochettino, right? It was, it's the players, it's the players, it's the players. We need to back them, we need to back them, we need to back them. But now it's Mourinho. It's like, no, it's Mourinho, it's Mourinho. No, it's not the players. The players are good enough. And it's like, but all season you'd be saying they're not good enough, but now all of a sudden they are. I just don't understand it. Like, be fair. And see, this is going to be the problem as well, because ultimately, look, I do think the majority of the fan base will be heard. I do think it could end up happening. And look, I'm going to throw my same support behind the next manager. But is it of best interest when you're not really? Because look, it's very easy to say Josie out, and then shut down anyone that has Josie in and try and challenge them on this and that, just so you can look right. But like when you get into it and you talk about the broader issues, you kind of look at it a different way, and you're like, but is it the best thing? And that's what we need to be doing. Stop with the immediate stuff and the knee-jerk reactions and these statements, like just throwing out these statements without any context or proof behind it. You know what I mean? Deal in facts. Deal with what's out there, what's in front of you. Deal with what's in the news. Like this whole narrative of the players love Poch when he first came in. Bullshit. There was a statement put out. The players didn't want to do his training methods. What happened? They stuck with Poch, and they got rid of 12, 13 players that season. Now, we're at the same point with Mourinho. And this is my point. Okay, so you get Mourinho, you bring in another manager. But then when does it stop? Do you just keep going? Do you just keep going, keep bringing in manager or manager? Or do at one stage you stop and say, no, we're backing this manager. You get rid of this manager. There's going to be uproar. Change the playing squad. But why would you do it with a Nagelsmann who doesn't have the history behind him and deserve that? Why wouldn't you do it with Mourinho who has the history behind him? And if anyone, for me, I think the most safest pair of hands to be in is an experienced pair of hands, not some new guy on the job, because he is going to make mistakes. And is someone like Nagelsmann capable to come in with his lack of experience, to come in and steer a ship like Tottenham? This is the thing. People don't want to talk about any of this.
Yeah, no, and I don't even know. For me, I don't even care if he's experienced or not experienced. I just think that it's a waste of money and a waste of time when he's not going to get any different result, right? Yeah. Well, so when maybe we win the next 3, right? We go to if say we're to sack Jose today, Nagelsmann comes in tomorrow morning for the match, or today for the match, and they beat Villa, they beat Newcastle, right, and then they lose to United, and then they lose the rest of the season. Well, what's the difference if we lose tomorrow under Jose, beat Newcastle, beat Man United, and then lose the rest of the game. I mean, there's no difference, right? Unless
Will
you
you watch that? Just quickly while you're speaking to Newcastle before it slips mind, you watch, right? We'll probably beat Villa tomorrow. We have Newcastle coming up. Now, Newcastle are a bogey team. I'm not confident going into that game because they always kind of do a number on us. But if we do lose that or don't beat them, you watch the fan base say this, that, and the other, and not talk about the 5-0 drubbing that Mourinho got up at Newcastle last game of the season there one season. They won't talk about that. They won't mention any of that. But you watch, and this is the team. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so. For me, it's so emotional. Like I could see the turn. I mean, I was there. I was on the stream with you and Marcelo when things turned. Right, it was from here to 180, and yeah, I just think that people get too emotionally. Which it's hard not to get emotional, especially when you care about the club as much as everybody does. But for me, I can get angry and I can get mad. But for me too, I'm not a big fan of my son's manager or my son's coach. I'm not a big. I mean, he's not. He may be watching right now. I don't know. I'm not a fan. But for me, I don't think the team's problems. Yeah, right. I don't think that the team's issues though are based on the coach, because when all is said and done, it's the kids on the field who are responsible for the actions that they take. I mean, the coach can only do so many drills with them, during the week. He can set them up before the game and say, this is how we're going to run. This is the formation we're going to do. You're playing here. You're playing there. I want you to play in between the lines. I want you to make runs into the half spaces. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. But once that whistle blows, all he can do is yell from the sidelines. I can tell you right now, my son's told me a million times, Dad, I can never hear words you say. Right. And I'm back there hollering and hollering and hollering. Right. So, how much do they hear the coach when he's hollering? Right. I mean, I've heard the coach had to holler my son's name out 4 or 5 times before he can get him to look at him. Right. Like, I mean, you just don't hear it. And then you got halftime, and he's got 10 minutes with him at halftime, and that's it. What happens on the pitch is down to the kids on the field and the decisions that they make and how they keep their heads. And my son's team is just like Tottenham right now. We can go out and beat the number one team on the table. We can go out and beat them 3-0. And then we can go draw 1-1 or lose 1-0 to the person at the bottom of the table the very next week. Like, I mean, we never know what team's going to show up on the weekend, right? Like, we have no idea. It is so frustrating to have my son's team and Tottenham performing the exact same way week in and week out. Is drama from every angle, and it's a tough spot to be in. But yeah, I just don't understand why.
Things like it's at times like this where you have to be level-headed. Like, I've always been a big advocate of, say if you're ever in trouble, the worst thing you can ever do is panic, because by the time you finish reaching that panic stage, level head prevails. But, by then the damage is already done. But where if you applied that in the situation in the first place, the damage wouldn't be done because you're level-headed and you can deal with it and you can get through it. So I always try to apply the same context to anything I do in life, especially with this situation right now with Mourinho.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't understand how people can blame Jose Mourinho. I just don't see it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about the Villa game.
Yeah.
Right.
This is so much more fun to talk about. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's a lot more fun to talk about what hasn't happened yet as opposed to what has already just happened, right? So
yeah.
What are we expecting tomorrow?
What I think is, luckily, Jack, our only saving grace. I'm not going to be like AFTV and cheer the fact that one of their players is hurt, but our only saving grace is that Jack's shins are still, messed up from that tackle. And from a player standpoint, you've got to go with it. We're out of competitions now, so I don't care who played Thursday night or not. Right? You play everybody that can play on Sunday. That's our top players. You've got Reguilon on the left. Toby and Sanchez, Aurier, Højbjerg and Dembele, out on the left since Son's injured. Honestly, out on the left, and I don't know if anybody's said this yet, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think play with Vinicius, because Vinicius played on the left sometimes over there in Portugal. Play him out on the left, Kane in the middle, Moore in the hole, and Bale on the right.
Look, the whole Vinicius thing, I am aware that out in Portugal he has played off the left. But with the Vinicius thing, I'm dubious, and I've stood by this all season long, is would you expect Mourinho to stick with him if he doesn't see that he's going to be here next season? Would you expect him to give him game time? Look, I know he's come in and he's done the job against the teams we faced, and look, you can only beat what's in front of you, but he's not of the level that Llorente was at, and if he doesn't see a long-term future under him, it's very hard for him to fit him into the team right now, based on if he's not going to be here after the summer. Because, look, the Spurs aren't going to pay that money for him. He's not worth the money they want. They probably will take less. But the thing is, I was listening to a podcast the other night. Not the other night, about 2 weeks ago. And it was Troy Deeney. And he wanted to come to Tottenham, and he was supposed to come to Tottenham. And out of nowhere, Vinicius arrived at Tottenham. That dampened the moves. But, and this also comes down to the issue. Now, I firmly believe Troy Deeney is a Mourinho sort of player. And the reason why I say that is because you compare it to Diego Costa. The Diego Costa he had for years. They're like for like. They're shit houses. They get around, they wind people up, and they'll score goals. And then all of a sudden, Vinicius arrives at the club. But, if we had Troy Deeney, I think you would see Mourinho using Troy Deeney a lot more, because Troy Deeney would be here for another 2 years. Do you know what I mean? But with Vinicius, he's only going to be here for a year. So it's hard for Mourinho to put him in there. If Mourinho already knows that he's here for a rebuild, he's going to be here in the summer. It's hard for him to make space for Vinicius in the squad if there's no long-term plan for it. It's like Gedson Fernandes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to play him if you're never going to sign him, are you? What's the point of trying to bring him into the squad if you're never ever going to sign him?
Because I think he has a better chance of scoring than Stevie B does, to be honest with you, on the left.
Yeah.
And that's simply why I want a result tomorrow. And I've seen him score 6-7 goals in the Europa League this season. He has a better shot. And not only shot like as in chance, but shot as in shot at scoring to score goals than Stevie B does right now with his confidence waning. And so and so because Vinicius, he's not super quick, but he's probably just as fast as Stevie B, right? And he's got more confidence in front of goal because he's had some goals this season than Stevie B. I mean, Stevie B's got 3 assists this season, but he doesn't have any goals yet, and he's missed a couple sitters, and that's really kind of crushed his spirits. And I think you start Vinicius and then bring on Stevie B and let him and wean him back into the side slowly, rather than throwing him into the pit because Son's out. Right?
What do you guys think Steven Bergwijn can become with our club? What is peak Steven Bergwijn for us?
I just don't think he's good enough, to be honest with you. I just don't think he's consistent enough. Look, and this is the problem with Tottenham. We bring in players that have potential and they get these stats in these leagues. But one thing they don't do, and I've noticed this on a lot of the players, and this is why we've accumulated the squad we have, is they don't do their homework on what's going on up here with the players. Because, look, I'm a firm believer, you can have all the ability you want. And I've seen many of players with ability that just go by the wayside. But the ones who maybe don't have as much ability, but have it up here to be able to take everything that comes with being a footballer, and they're the ones that are quicker to be able to tune in when someone's getting on the back and start doing the right thing and stuff like that. They're the ones that ultimately make it. And they're the ones that become good pros and ones that you can rely on to get the type of stats that Will is talking about. Look, I just don't think Bergwijn has it. And this is another thing in recruitment. Like, we don't do as much digging into the player's personality and stuff like that as we should, that other clubs do. Because ultimately, look, it all comes to making a player. Everything comes to making a player. And the reason why I say you need it up here, you look at Ravel Morrison, Adel Taarabt, ex-Spurs player. all the ability in the world. But when they decide they're going to have it switched on up here, but when they don't have it switched on up there, they're nobody. Adel Taarabt, I'm a firm believer, could have been one of the best players in the world. But he just didn't have it up here. He just didn't have it up there. But like when he did, he could do amazing things, and everyone was talking about it. Same as Ravel Morrison, and this is the problem with Tottenham. On Stevie B, I just don't think he's going to make it. I think it's more money wasted. I think it's another sort of Lucas Moura, Lamela sort of deal. Another thing I wanted to say is maybe what he might do and what you might see is maybe Lo Celso or Ndombele play the number 10 with Lucas Moura and Bale out on the wide. I think it'd be very telling if you don't see Bergwijn or Vinicius tomorrow that Mourinho just doesn't trust them.
David,
if Lo Celso does start.
David, listen. When it comes to mentality, I just want to know your opinion. Where does mentality come from? Is mentality something that you can buy?
No.
Unfortunately, I do believe it's something you're born with. Look, over the years, it can kind of be instilled into you. But if you don't have that by the time, I think you're 15, 16, when you're in school, like, you know what I mean? And things are affecting you way more than what they should. And you need all these pats on the backs rather than just being able to do things off your own back. I think once you don't have it by then, I just don't think you're ever going to have it, to be honest with you.
That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
I've got a story. I've got a story for this, and then we'll get into Mario's question here because he's asked me a couple times. And just for you guys to chat, if there's a specific question that you want us to read out, hit me at Will Stewart THFC Rants, because then it'll pop up. It'll like highlight it on my screen that I need to read it. Like sometimes it's difficult for me to tell the difference between you guys talking to each other and somebody asking a real question. So if there's a question that you have for the panel up here, A1, you can click the link right there and join the stream and ask them yourself, because this is free to open to everybody, and or just tag me in the question, and that way I can make sure that I'm not missing it, because they tend to scroll by here pretty quick. And as I'm trying to, because I find myself having a hard time paying attention to this and listening to what the guys up here are saying, especially when they're asking me questions as well. So David, you're a hero, and I definitely realize your pain now, and so I have a lot more grace for people on streams versus what I used to have. You missed my comment, blah blah blah. But, see, there you go, James Joyce or Joris. That's perfect, right there, just like that. If you at the Will THC, it pops up. What time is it in Ireland, David? God bless the number one Irish Hotspur fan. What time is it in Ireland, David?
Yeah, it's 3:45 in the morning. But like I said, look, you're not keeping me awake. I'll be awake anyway. So
yeah, but yeah, on the mentality thing though, Cody. And this is the thing too. My son has a mentality issue, and so we've had to. There's a program that's called Free Promotion Coach. You're welcome. By Soccer Mentor, and it's a program where they focus on elite youth athletes, their mental capacity, their mental mind state, positive affirmations before the game, getting focused, doing like crazy stuff that I never thought a 13-year-old kid would do, like meditation and yoga, and working on having an alter ego where the second, like, you can be a nice guy when you get home, but the second you step onto that pitch, you have to be a dirty, rotten scoundrel. I mean, kind of like Jose Mourinho said when he came into the club. And you have to create for yourself this alter ego where you have to have this killer instinct, and I think that's what Stevie B is lacking. I don't see the eye of the tiger, right? For a big Rocky fan for here in America, right? He doesn't have. You look in his eyes, and you don't see that killer instinct. I'm going to score, right? My number one focus is no matter what happens. That focus that you can see in Cristiano Ronaldo's eyes, right? That arrogance, right? You have to be able to turn that on. Like with Kobe Bryant is the person that the coach uses a lot of the time when he's talking to the kids. He had the black mamba, right? So once he got on the court, he wasn't your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not your teammate. I'm here to do one thing, and that's to score and win, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get there, Mario. Don't worry about it. And Yeah, so I mean I think that's really important, and that's because my son, he'll come at the house. He's the oldest kid. He'll beat his brothers up. He'll push them around. He has no problem asserting himself there. He'll go into practice. They're doing a shooting drill, and he'll let the kids cut in front of him in line. He won't step in. He won't stand up for himself. He'll let people that don't know anything about the game tell him ridiculous things on the field, and it bothers him. And and so he would just have confidence problems. And I see Stevie B having that. That's what I see Stevie B's biggest problem is not having that killer instinct. So and then to get on to Mario's question here before he kills me here, is do we play our talented players or the hardworking players? And this kind of goes along with what we're saying. So,
look, I think it's just down to whoever Jose Mourinho trusts tomorrow to do the job. I don't think it's going to come into it. I think, look, Jose is an experienced guy. Ultimately, he's going to have that mix of obviously talented players and hardworking players. Ultimately, you're never going to have 11 Mo Salahs win a league, are you? Do you know what I mean? When Liverpool won the league, it was a collective. Look, you had James Milner, a huge part of it. Workhorse, James Henderson, workhorse. So you need a good blend. Basically,
I want the effective players. I want the effective players.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're talented or hardworking. I want the players to get results. And there's a difference. You can be talented and not get results, and you can be hardworking and not get results. I want the people that get results. Kane, Reguilon. Those are really the only two that I can look to right now. Those are the two people that have to be in the side, right? Højbjerg, yeah. But so go on with the other point that you're going to say on that on the mentality part of it.
Oh yeah. Just to add to it, like for instance, right? Look, you may look at me now and not think it, but growing up, I was actually a very good player. Like Will, I could pull a ball back, skin a player, pull it back, skin him again. You know what I mean? I was very good. But one thing I didn't get, and I missed my opportunity, is because, I was in academies. I was playing at an elite level, so you'd call it, like for my age group. And look, ultimately, I missed because I didn't get that aggression and that. When you're on the field, you're a winner. They're not my friends. You know what I mean? I didn't get that till I turned 16, till I went into the senior team. But it was too late. I missed my opportunity to go back to England. Do you know what I mean? To get over there, to get into an academy over there. And the reason why it didn't happen is because I developed the aggression side of it too long. I had all the talent in the world. And anyone around me will vouch for that. I just, looking back on it, I didn't get my aggression till I turned 16 and it was too late.
Yeah, and you're scaring me, David, because my son's the exact same way. Easily the most talented kid on the team, the highest IQ, the most skill on the ball, but he just doesn't have that killer instinct yet. I mean, he's only 13, so I still have 3 years to beat it into him, figuratively, not literally.
What you should do, Will, is sitting down. Look, there's loads of podcasts that you can listen to. That's all over YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that. I think probably what might help him is if he maybe took 2-3 hours out, maybe every evening when he's going to sleep or something, and listen to ex-professionals talk about how they got into the game, how they made it, stuff like that, from not only Premier League and elite players, but even down to lower league players. Because what I have realised, and they all say it, is like, look, I'm just as good as Premier League players, but what I didn't have is the mentality to be the best, to be a winner. So, like, all them sort of things, listening to from different end of perspectives, I think will give him a good gauge of
the kid's
what he kind of needs to do.
The kid's an absolute monster. I mean, even when he was like 11 and 12, he would send motivational videos to his friends. He'd be like, yeah, this one really gets me. This one really gets me. And it's like, it's those videos on YouTube where it's like, you can be the best, and it has that dramatic music in the background. Like, he's 11 and he's watching that stuff. Like I was watching He-Man and stuff like that when I was 11, right? So, showing my age there. But yeah, so to answer this question here, the THFC, because this kind of goes along with what we're talking about. He says the Tottenham Hotspur environment also plays a role in establishing and developing mentality. Tottenham doesn't have the right winning environment. And I kind of disagree with this point, Mr. Mexico Spurs SC. And thanks for joining us from down south from me. I think that the players create the mentality at the club, right? United's history, the players that they've had in the history, and the success that those players have brought the club in the history has created that mentality at the club. And right now, the players that are playing for Manchester United don't have that. They're not living up to that environment, right? So you can have it both ways. And it's the fact that we've gone so long, right? We haven't spent enough money. It's been like what, since the 1960s before we really had a good stretch of success, right? You go from the 60s to a couple of times in the 80s and then 2008. And then that's it. There hasn't been enough success, with bringing in top players to build that mentality. It's not the club's fault they don't have that mentality. It's the fact. Well, I mean, it is because the owners haven't brought in the players in order to build that mentality, right? Yeah, there are some clubs that have that mentality, but Chelsea didn't have that mentality before, right? They were a nobody club. Nobody heard. They were a little wispy thing, down over there, 20 years ago, right? For nobody in London was talking about Chelsea. But they brought in players, they got results, and they've built the mentality. They've built that image. That image comes from what you do on the pitch, not from, the aura around the club. And I think it comes down to the players. I really think the players hold the responsibility. I mean, it's just like the coach. I can have a problem with the coach and the way he does things, but I don't think it's his fault that we lose a game or that we win a game, right? It's the kid's reaction on the field, right? He's there to set them up for success. It's their job to follow through with it. And that's my position on it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then
we got
James.
You're very quiet.
Yeah, Cody, talk more. Just jump in. This is rant time. You got to jump in there. Don't be shy.
Yeah. You know what? Mentality is such an abstract concept. It's really hard to define, and it's really hard to isolate when it comes to your club. Who is responsible for the mentality of a club? And when you look at Tottenham Hotspur, we are one of the most we are one of the most explicit examples of a poor mentality when it comes to, if you start at the top and you go to the bottom, ownership, leadership, management, players, coach. How is it that we have brought in the most successful manager of the 20th century, and we've managed to poison him with our mentality? It's really bizarre. But
it's sad,
I just hate the way that the word mentality is tossed around like it's something that we can just acquire or sell or remove. It's really hard to define that. And I really don't know what the answer is.
You got to bring in people with that mentality, I think, right? You got to go out and you got to bring in the people that have that mentality. And that was bringing in Jose Mourinho was a good step in that direction, in my opinion. That was the whole point of bringing him in.
So does that mean that sacking Jose Mourinho is a negative step in the mentality of the club?
Absolutely. You're basically giving up. You're forfeiting that winner's mentality. And man, my beanie has just given me heartaches today. But you're sacrificing that winner's mentality, because you're basically saying, you know what, guys, we're too soft. We're too soft to win anything with Jose Mourinho. So we'll just have to give up and go find another soft manager who's going to pat us on our behinds and say, good job, laddie. When you kick the goal, you kick the ball up into the second row.
Man, it's so hard to take. It's so hard to take that we're gonna allow Tottenham Hotspur to be the most embarrassing chapter in the career of Jose Mourinho, because that's where we are right now. If you just cut things off today, we are the most embarrassing chapter in that guy's career.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And he says, James Joris, he came on last week, and he said, love the platform you're giving us in America. I love the Irish Hotspur, Matt Hayes. We were Tottenham TV, but nice to have a platform in our time zone. Yeah, and big ups to David here for staying up till the wee hours of the morning and joining us in our fun. Will, how do you explain Ajax then? see, here's the thing, right? Ajax, their academy's good. So they have a good system. They have good, and this is just Will's opinion, right? They have good technical ability. And they play in a professional league that allows them to kind of dominate because they're in the capital city. There isn't, how many teams in that league really perform year in and year out? PSV and Ajax, right? It's kind of a Liga situation, right? Where you've got, Lille and PSG, right? And there's not a whole lot. But what Ajax doesn't have, though, anymore, granted in the past it was a different thing, is any more championship success or Champions League success.
Yeah.
Right. That semifinal where we played them was their best kind of run in a long time. So I think their players, and that's why you saw a lot of their players when they go other places, they struggle at first because the mentality is completely different. And I'm telling people right now, the Premier League is a different ball game. It's a completely different ball game. And I think the players that you see immediately have success in the Premier League are the players that have that killer instinct because you have to.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. He's got that. You can see it in his face, right? The scowl, the curled brow, and him always hunting, always moving to get into the scoring position, and always taking that risk. And you got to be willing to take the risk, and you got to be, it's put this way. And this is one the coach uses for the kids all the time. And I actually looked at Messi's stats, and it's the same thing. Not only does Messi have the record for the number of goals scored in the Liga, he also has the record for the number of missed shots in the Liga. People don't think about that, right? Yeah. It's because he's not afraid. He's not afraid to make a mistake, but he's confident enough that, and he's smart enough to learn from his mistakes, right? So you got to be both in. And Kobe Bryant was the same way. Not only he was a point scoring record, and he also has a missed shots record, right? So they come hand in hand. I tell this to my son all the time. You can't score a goal that you don't take, right? You can't score a shot that you don't take. So,
what position does your son play with?
He plays number 10, sometimes 7, sometimes 9, but number 10 is his big thing. And really technical and tactical kid. He's a little bit small. He's half Korean, so he's a little bit smaller, but on the ball, there's saying he gets out of. It's like kind of like a movie where you'd see a pile of kids, because in kids football they tend to bunch up a little bit more than you see in the older levels, but you'll see 2 or 3 guys going in, and he'll disappear in the mix, and then all of a sudden, boop, he's coming out the backside of it, and he keeps going on.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, but he's got the most goal contributions, and that's the thing is here in America, it's all about big physical. That's the U.S. men's national team, especially historically in a T, right? They're like that big over the top, play the long ball, run onto a 4-4-2, brawn over brain type of football, and he gets lost in that sometimes because he's not as here in America, the cutoff date is January 1st, and his birthday's in December, so he's about 11 months younger than everyone on his team, and so he's just not physical enough to really break into like the MLS academy teams and some of the higher teams. He just doesn't have the size yet. And
maybe for a couple of games, Will, is getting maybe if you could a little run in centre midfield, because eventually enough times when he's not being able to do what he can do further up the field, he will eventually. Because the reason why I say that is because growing up, I was a number 10, I was a number 7. I like that. I had all the goal contributions. But when I really started to get my aggression when I was like 16 and stuff, and the winning mentality, is when someone like a manager came over, took over the club, and he said to me, "No, you're playing centre midfield," and my mentality completely switched. And the reason why it completely switched is because I wasn't able to do what I was doing in centre midfield, and I wasn't getting as much of the ball in space to do that. But eventually what I had to do is I had to get that aggression to be able to make that space for myself, to be able to do things. So maybe, look, and I'm only speaking from my own advice, so maybe that's just something that maybe Maybe you could.
Yeah, and if you
maybe
guys,
you
if
could-
anybody out there, if anybody out there in the world wants to go watch, you check out PS7 Soccer on YouTube, and you can watch some highlight videos and stuff like that. I haven't uploaded anything of his in probably about 8 or 9 months, so it's a bit older. But yeah, if you get PS7 Soccer on YouTube, and you can watch some of his highlight videos. But I'm gonna answer this question real quick. What's our best 11? I think I said it earlier, at least for right now, with Son being out, right? Obviously, Son goes in on the left, but it's got to be Kane, Bale, Mora, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Reguilon, Toby, Sanchez, Dyer. Honestly, I don't think it matters whoever you throw in next to Toby. It's just kind of a space holder. Mario, he does play ODP. He's made the number one, the top state team for North Carolina the last 2 years in a row. With ODP, David, is like what we call our Olympic development program. It's who they used to pull the men's national team from before they started the developmental academy in MLS. So it's kind of an age system now. But
and what's the grassroots sort of thing? What's it like? Is it only like like the MLS teams are only starting to like develop the academy for that now and stuff like that, or is that already in place over there?
So a year ago, before COVID started, they had this thing called the U.S. Soccer Federation had a youth league called the Developmental Academy, and that was kind of like the top tier of youth soccer in the United States. And the club that we play out now played in that league, and my son was on the team just below that. And then the DA kind of went away because of COVID, financial problems, so the MLS kind of started their own league. And then there was another league called the Elite Clubs National League that kind of filled that gap. So now those are the two competing leagues. So like in the U.S., MLS is number one. Like that's the Premier League. That's our top division. And then our championship side is called USL Championship. Yeah. So we play a lot of the USL Championship clubs. We have a USL 2 side, which is kind of like it's not quite non-league, but it's like semi-pro.
Yeah.
So it's not League 1 or League 2. That would be a higher tier because those are still kind of professionals. But it's like a semi-pro where you have some guys still have to work a job on Thursday, during the week and stuff like that. That's what our club has, that kind of a team. But we play against all the I guess you could say the championships academies sides and all that stuff like that. But so that's kind of the level that he plays. And then we've got Kevin Chang here. 안녕하세요. That's what that says right there. Is 안녕하세요. Yeah, 안녕하세요. 저는 윌리엄입니다. 저도 한국말 좀 합니다. 그래서 우리 한국 친구분들 좀 오십시오. 환영합니다. 그리고 여기 우리랑 좀 채팅 원한다면 이 링크가 클릭해가지고 오십시오. 감사합니다. You just basically said,
like and subscribe.
For all the Koreans out there, I can speak some Korean, and if you guys ever want to come in and have a chat, go ahead and come in, and I'll translate. If you don't speak English, don't worry about it. 그 영어 못하면은 여기 들어와서 저한테를 한국말 하면은 제가 여기서 번역해 주십시오. 해줄게요. Right. So I said, if you don't speak English, don't worry about it. Come on in. You can talk to me in Korean, and I will translate for everybody on the show, and then we can get their answers. So if you want to come in,
it's beautiful.
Join the stream.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, I got to go soon, but before I go, I just want to hear what you guys think is going to happen tomorrow. Predictions.
Oh, score prediction. My score prediction. I'll go first, David, and then you can jump in. I think my score prediction, I think it's going to be 3-1. I really do. If
for Villa.
No, for Tottenham. And that's only because I have to have faith every week before we go that somebody is going to reach down in their drawers and grab the jewels that their mama gave them and pull something out tight, dig deep down inside and find that mentality. I have to. That's my only hope, right? I'd have to be like, I feel so bad for like Marcelo and Charlie, the way they look so down. right? And you saw me on the stream. I'm slamming my chair. I'll get that. I'll yell. Like, it's probably good that I don't do watch alongs, because when they score a goal, I'd be screaming, and when they're blah blah blah, but the only thing that gets me up the next day is hoping each and every week that, because I know the potential that's in the team, and so I have to have faith that they're going to come out and do it. And I think that we can beat, especially without Jack Grealish. If Jack was in, I'd have a different scoreline. But since Jack's not going to be there, we can beat this team 3-1. We can. If we play the way that we played against Palace and the way that we played against Burnley. Definitely not the way we played against Arsenal or Zagreb. But David, what do you think? What's your prediction for tomorrow?
I'm going to go 2-1. I think we will get over the line. I do think it's going to be a cagey affair, especially the opening 30. I think it's very important we keep it tight for the opening 30. I think if we concede in then, I think the head's dropped, and I think the whole thing might just unravel and fall apart. It's all the opening 30 for me. I think is going to be very important. But no, look, I agree with Will. Look, I have to keep the faith. I believe that on our day we're good enough. And it's just about turning up. But one thing I will say is when we got knocked out the last 16 in Champions League last year, our league form took an upturn. And I fully expect the same to happen now. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham win, Cody.
Attaboy. Listen.
It was nice meeting you, man.
Listen, I'm not going to say that I don't care if we win or not, because obviously we're all Spurs. Tottenham till I die. We want a W. But what I want to see more than anything else is I want to see heart. I want to see heart. If we lose and we show heart, I'm going to leave tomorrow more satisfied than if we win and we show nothing. I just don't want to see a repeat of what we've seen in the last 7 days, because to me, there's sabotage. There's sabotage going on right now, and I want to see an about face tomorrow. I want to see the players show that they care about us, the fans. They care about the badge. They care about the club, and they're going to show us that there's more to what they've shown us in the last 7 days. So, are we going to win? Really, I don't care. I care more that we show that the players actually care about us.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I've said this a couple times. I've put the chats in on David's channel and everywhere else where anybody will read it out loud. I'm serious. If there really are players, and I don't mean like passive aggressively, but I mean like seriously trying to divide the team inside the locker room, strip them of their squad number, send them to the U23s, play Scarlett and all the other young lads in their place. Right?
We've got the quality to beat anybody. But do we have the attitude? That's what I'm looking for tomorrow. I'm looking for the fucking attitude.
We got Bob Spur. What are you still doing awake? Are you just now waking up? I think Bob Spur
this guy's
is an
always
early
late
riser.
like me.
I think he's an early riser. It seems to me like he might be an early riser. Bobby, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he might be an early riser, because a lot of times the first video that pops up in my feed for the day is a Bob Spur TV video. So I think he's one that gets up early. And Mexico Spurs SC says, "Do you have a channel, Cody?"
No, I do not. I just like to poach my opinion here and there. Anyone that wants to listen to what I have to say, so be it.
Yeah.
But no,
and you're welcome on here anytime, Cody. And that's what I like about this show right here, is it goes on forever. There's no end date, right? I could go, especially once this gets bigger, I could literally run this until it's like 5 o'clock in the morning here, because I can stream 8 hours straight on the plan that I have. And so I could literally go from 10 o'clock at night to 5 o'clock in the morning if I had people from all over the world just rolling in at different times and jumping on the stream. I'm not saying I'm not committing to that, but I'm saying it's a possibility, right? Like I could go for that. So it's just going to be kind of and anybody's watching, please, if you're in the chat and you think, well, I don't want to interrupt or I don't want to come in. No, please join us. That's the point of this show here. Is It's a free for all, right? it is a free for all till your wife says so. Well, no, I'm telling you, my wife would be happy that I'm on here till 5 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm just kidding.
Just to that as well. If there's anyone that thinks they're not confident enough to come on, what I'm going to say to you is look, I felt like that before I went on We Are Tottenham TV, before I started my channel. The best thing you can do is just do it. Once the first one is out the way, it all goes out the window. So if it's a confidence issue, just come on, have your say. We're friendly people. We're going to treat you nice. And after that, the confidence will be flowing. We won't be able to get you off. So if it's a confidence issue, just do it. That's all I can say to you.
Yeah, to answer James' question here, do I think that Jose has the squad behind him? I think he has the good people in the squad. And I said this when you were talking with Alex, right? I think that Jose is Kane's best season, Son's best season. He brought Horberg from the smalls of Southampton and turned him into a star. You know, Reguilon's played great. And as much as I hate to say this, it's been Lamella's best season in the last 4 years, right?
8.
Not that it's hard. Not that it's hard to top. Not 8, because 15-16 was a really good year for me. 9 goals, 5 assists. But in like 32 appearances with 20-something starts. But you know, this year, it's not hard for you to have a good season over the last 4 when they've been so bad. But he's had a good year, right? Mourinho's been able to pull a shift out of him. Mora has looked really good in 10. And for Jose, Mora's never played number 10 really for us. Maybe once or twice in a real serious pinch, right? But Jose kind of realized, yeah, we were in a pinch too, but he saw it, right? He saw the potential there. He saw that, you know, Mora can pull that shift. And he's done well there when he's played there. You know, but it's the players who were always average, who only got in because the team started to fall apart with age at the end of the Poch era. Davies, Winks, Sissoko, you know, Aurier. It's those 4 or 5. And I think Matt Doherty's behind Jose. I don't think Matt has a problem with Jose. I think he's honest to the point. He's come out and said that he's not playing well. He's the only one out of the people who aren't playing well to actually come out and own his own crap. And so I give him respect for that. Do I want to see him play tomorrow? No, but I respect it for coming in and doing that. But yeah, so I mean, it's just I don't think that the club is. I think there are some players behind Jose, but I don't think the whole squad's behind it. And if they're literally trying to sabotage it, like actually, not passive aggressively, then I think we should ship them off to the U23s. So that's what I have to say about that. But then Bobby says that he'll be honest, buddy. His little 1-year-old had the world's biggest dump in her nappy, so he had to get up to sort it out, and he thought he'd check in on how we're doing. So thanks, Bobby. I appreciate that.
That's commitment to the cause.
Yeah. I see you, Bobby. I see you.
Yeah, my kids are older than that now. My youngest is 9 now, so I don't have to deal with that. But I've gone through all that. So I have 3 boys.
Fuck you, Will. my youngest is 1, so I got a long sentence to serve. And David, I don't know if you have kids, but if you don't yet, let me tell you, your sentence is coming.
No, I don't have kids yet. That's why I'm able to be everywhere lately. Trust me, if I had kids, I don't think I'd be allowed the time. But anyway, lads, look, I may head off there because the main event for the UFC is on. It's what I've been sitting up and waiting for. But look, Will, thanks very much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Cody,
you're welcome.
it's very
anytime,
nice to meet you, man. Very nice to chat to you.
Attaboy.
The door is always open.
I wish you the best of luck with your channel. Anyone that new that's tuning in, make sure you smash a like, make sure you smash a subscribe. I really do think it's going to be a big hit over there. It's a brilliant idea. And look, obviously, the likes of Cody and all are going to support you. And I hope any Koreans that tune in, they will as well, because you do have the language as well. But no, honestly, I can only see big things for you, Will. And I really do appreciate it for having me on, buddy. And lads, I'm out, so I'll see you. Enjoy your evening.
You too, David. Thank you very much for coming on. Everybody go support David if you don't already, and which I'm sure everybody here. I wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you, David, and have a good night. Enjoy your fight, buddy.
I will. See you
tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
I don't want to hit you with the double here, but I gotta go as well. Will,
that's all right, Cody. It's all good, man. I appreciate you coming on. And Cody, you are welcome here anytime as well. Come back as often as you like. I'm probably going to stream like, every other day or something like that. So just whenever you see the announcement, the chat, the link will always be in the stream. And whenever you're free and able, please jump on.
Absolutely. And you know what? I only see big things coming for this channel. So cheers, bud. And
all right. Thanks.
Long live THFC Rants.
Stay strong. Stay Spurs, Cody.
Absolutely. Glory, glory.
Glory, glory. All right, guys. So Kevin Ching, if you're still here, Chang, is that Zhang? Kevin Zhang? Correct me if I'm wrong. But you live in New Jersey, so you obviously speak fluent English. Yeah, spread the word out, man. That a lot of the times the Koreans, they'll try to come in and chat with like We Are Tottenham TV, but I don't really think that they necessarily get their points heard or their voices heard. And yeah, I want them to be able to come on here and have their voice. So share it around the Korea sphere and let them come on, because even though my Korean is a little bit short when I speak, my listening is about 100%. So let me bring that on. Yeah, I'm going to throw this link out here one more time. If anybody wants to come on, just click the link and join. Been going for about an hour and 48 minutes. We got about 16 guys watching. If there's anybody else that wants to jump on, jump on. Like I said, it's an open show. You don't have to have a camera. You can literally just turn on the mic. Yeah. Got a comment down here. How much longer will I be streaming? Dude, I don't know, man. It depends. If there's not any more interest, if nobody wants to come in on chat with me, I'll probably sign it off. We're going to get channel focus on Korean speakers, not just in Korea. Well, that's what this kind of is, right? So here's the deal with Korean time, right? So the games and a lot of the Spurs content tends to online tends to happen around oh no, David, you're always welcome, dude. Always 100,000 million times. And we got another guy staying up really late, Gray Show mate from London. Thanks for joining, all of you guys from all over the world. I appreciate it. Those who have stayed up with me really, really late on that side. And lads, he says, get in there, join, don't be shy. Yeah, come on in, guys. You can come in and do it. It's Bobby. You've tapped into a niche market, buddy. There's nothing but success ahead as the most self-confident person around. How much do you think Jose has questioned himself lately? That's a good question, Bobby. That is a really good question. As a narcissist, how much do you think that Jose has been questioning himself lately? That's a good question. Depends on how true of a narcissist he is, right? If he's like straight up Donald Trump type narcissism, probably not very much, right? The whole world revolves around him. You tend to look at others before you look at yourself. I don't know though, but Jose seems different. As much hate as people have for Jose, and I think a lot of it comes from his stint at Man United. I really do. I think there's some implicit bias, not you, Bobby, but obviously other people. And I think there's some implicit biases from that Man United period, and all, because I know I had one when and maybe I'm just projecting my own feelings onto other people, but yeah, they had I just think that a lot of people are bringing that baggage, what had happened, that history at, and I don't know why my camera's so dang blurry today. It's driving me nuts. I'll have it figured out next time. But I think a lot of people bringing in that baggage from the Man United days and are kind of projecting that onto this Jose here, but he seems a little bit different. I really do. I think that because most of the time when Jose left clubs, even if he left it in bad stances with necessarily the board and the management, I think he left with a lot of good, close relationships from the players themselves. I mean, just watching some documentaries on Jose Mourinho himself, and like, you know, his experience when he left Chelsea for the first time to go to Real Madrid, and you know, players crying in the you know, walkway or in the tunnels after the game, and him feeling so hurt that he had to, you know, he was just going to disappear and he had to walk back, you know, and give those guys a hug. You know, I mean, you don't, if you're a complete a-hole, you don't have people that care about you that much, right? So, you know, I just think that it's been just kind of a different deal. And you know, I don't know. That's a good question, Bobby. That's a really good question. I like that question. I like questions that make me think, and that one made me think. That's why I like your stuff. Even if I don't necessarily have the same opinion as you on everything, your viewpoints make me think. They make me self-reflect, Bobby. Let's put it that way. The Irish Hotspur, lads, get on, have her say, don't be shy. Mario Wayne, I'm looking at you guys. Yeah, come on, guys. Everybody's welcome. We got Mario Escobar, all the best, David. Everybody loves David. James Joris, I'll share this with our club in Chicago. The club will love it. Yes, please do. If you're a part of a supporters group here in the U.S., please share this stream out. I got to find the focal point because this is driving me nuts. There it is. Now you get to see my face all nice and close, my big old ginger beard, and all that good stuff. Yeah. If you have a supporters club and you want, please share this content out with them, because it's really the only thing going on at this time of night anywhere. Because obviously, you know, except for David and Bobby and all the other folks from London who should be sleeping right now, there's not a whole lot going on this time, especially if you live out on the West Coast, like California. The stuff's a little bit earlier, whereas here on the East Coast, it's a little bit later in the night. Like it's 12:30 a.m. here where I'm at now. And yeah. We got David who said, great Christian Bob and great answer, Will. Thank you very much, my friend. We've got Mexican Spurs SC, as long as Joe doesn't ask the mirror. Yeah, probably. I just don't know. I really don't know what kind of person Jose is, actually. So, and now that there's nobody else here and I don't really need to look at the screen, I'm going to try to look at the camera so you guys don't think I'm looking down on you or anything, because I have to continually do this. I need to get another monitor and put it like behind my camera. I have one now, but the capture card that I use starts to flash when I connect it through HDMI, so it's kind of a pain in the neck. But so 92 Flamethrower says, yeah, too much judgment on Jose's past, but he hasn't been as wild as he has with the other clubs. No, I agree, man. I agree. I don't know if I necessarily, the way he's come out in the press, there have been a lot of times this season where he could have easily called and thrown people under the bus, and he didn't do it like exactly 100%, right? It was more passive aggressive, or I guess he wasn't 100% honest. Whereas older Jose, especially like Man United Jose, would have just straight up said, this player's crap, I don't want him on the team. Jose is a winner and many people don't like winners. You know what? I agree with that statement. Cody Bots for Will and David are all much needed legends. Well, no, thank you, my man. You're a legend. And Mexico Spurs SC, brother, come on the show with us. Join the show anytime you want. And JM is trying a different approach, giving the fans what they want rather than what he knows how the team needs to play. No, I agree with you, Mara. I really do agree with you. Wait a minute. Maybe I don't agree with you. Let me read that again. JM is trying a different approach, giving the fans what they want rather than what he knows how the team needs to play. I hope that's not true. It may be true. You may be right. I hope that's not true. Right? I would hope that regardless of the pressure from the fans, regardless of the amount of Jose out noise and you're finished, you're a dinosaur, and all that BS, that he's in his office pushing past that and trying to be the most successful person that he can be, regardless of what people think about him. I would respect that more. Will, your channel's much needed here in the Mexico and not just with expats. Yeah. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. I mean, I do like enough to get by. Un cerveza, por favor. Right? Like that's the only Spanish that I need to know. But yeah, if you speak Spanish and are fluent in English, you can join me on the show as a co-host, and you can bring on people, and we can spread this out even bigger, right? James Joris says, I felt bad for you when Marcel and David were having a heated debate the other day. Yeah, no, don't feel bad for me, dude. I like debates. I go on debate channels, do all kinds of debate topics all the time. So heated opinions don't get me down. They do not get me down. And maybe if I push that back a little bit, then I can scoot forward a little bit closer and not have my head so big and still be somewhat in focus. Truth is, we haven't been playing the Spurs way, and it's frustrating the fans. If we were in the stadium, Jose would be getting booed, to be honest. The fan base is split, and it's kind of toxic now. Yeah, I think some of the fan base is toxic, but what I think is but like there's a lot of people like Alex was on Chris Collins' show today with David. If you didn't see that show, go check out Tottenham fan Chris Collins. Not that I need to be promoting not that he needs my help promoting his channel, but go check out that episode today. And I disagree with Alex. Like, I disagree with probably 99.9% of what Alex says, but we both agree that we both want Tottenham to succeed. And because of that, we can have debates and we can go back and forth, and I'm not going to not like him as a person. Right? So, great point. Does he approach the way he speaks in the press than he did at United because he knew the mentality he could handle at their club and ours can't? You know, I think it's just because he's trying to change himself. I think he did some self-reflection over that year where he was out, and that he needs to kind of try and, I guess you could say, become a little more woke in the 2021 word, as sad as that is. But I think that's just kind of what he's doing. I think he's realized that that calling people out and, you know, being assertive and holding up three is not something that gets a lot of love and support here in these days. And Bob Spur TV says, I just think that with 26 trophies behind him, being a narcissistic is natural. However, I do think that it may have clouded his judgment at times. Example, thinking get more out of average players. No, yeah, I agree. I think that sometimes people who are narcissistic will be a little bit self-destructive in order to prove themselves right. Right? They will give people enough rope to hang themselves, so to speak, instead of preventing it. I hope that's not the case. Is it possible that that's something that Jose is doing? Yeah. Maybe I skipped some. Let's go back. I can help with Spanish too, brother. All right. Jose Esqueda. That's great. Anytime. You guys are welcome to come on. You can come on right now if you'd like. James George, we are family for sure. That is absolutely true. What have we won playing the Spurs way in the last 20 years? The Spurs way has been for many years about throwing away important games. Yeah, I think the Spurs way is people are saying that, that we're this attacking football, but I think that's just a silly way to say it. And I'm sorry to, I don't want to offend my few viewers that I have, Scorpions for life. But I just think that playing the Spurs way is kind of a cop out in a way, because I want the Spurs way to be winning, right? I want to win. I want to win matches. That's what I want the Spurs way to be, is to win. I don't care if we win 1-0 or if we win 10-0, right? I mean, obviously 10-0 is going to be a lot more fun. But honestly, as I watch Man City play, 'cause I'm really big into fantasy football, and so I watch almost every match that I can, at least at the minimum, the matches that players on my team that I have on my fantasy team are playing in. And obviously not this week because City's not playing, but on most weeks I have 3 City guys in my squad, and it gets so boring. It gets so boring to watch them win 5-0 week in and week out. It really does. It really gets dull, right? Because the possession is all in their side of the pitch, in their offensive third, and you're just sitting there watching them score and score and score. It's exciting at first, but maybe it's just because I'm a neutral. But after a while, it just gets old, right? Those 2-1 back and forth, close shots off the post, right? Like, regardless of the performance that we put in at Arsenal, the fact that it was so dramatic made it at least entertaining. Not that I want that to be the end result, but Flamethrower 92 says, yeah, Josie mentioned in plenty of interviews that he realized he made mistakes and wanted to change it. That's why he's changed his staff. Yeah, it's a modern world. Woke, you kill me well. Yeah. I mean, that's what people are calling it nowadays, right? And the 1-0 lead this season have been our weakness. So many drop points. Yeah, I'm not saying I want to settle for that. I don't ever want to see you score 1 goal and then sit back. I don't like that. But a 2-0, you go out, you score 1, you go out, you score 2. Then if you catch a 3rd or a 4th on the counter, I'm okay with that. I mean, if you're not okay with that, let me know in the chat. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Mario Escobar's Connor Bobby says, I think I just agree. I don't necessarily think he would grown up from his first stint at Chelsea, but probably since his second stint at Chelsea. I think the first stint at Chelsea was still young enough in his career that he was still kind of new and experiencing and doing new things and stuff like that. The players aren't listening to Jose. Flamethrower, what is my rank? Well, I didn't have a good week last week, so I'm at right now. It's not a bad rank, especially for a Yank. I haven't checked because of the game today. So right now I'm sitting at 2,940. 294,327 is what I'm sitting at. Yep. I'm on a red arrow right now because most of my guys are playing tomorrow. I have a lot of West Ham, Spurs, Villa, and one Arsenal player. Unfortunately, I had to because they're the only teams playing this week. Mexico Spurs SC. We literally threw away an important game on Thursday. We absolutely did. Well, as an American, you're a winner. You always want to win, and England is taking part that is more important than winning. I would disagree, especially now, modern day America. So, I mean, I don't want to throw politics in this, but I'm a libertarian, so I'm not left or right. I'm just kind of in the middle, just a normal bloke. for the Australian folks. Yeah, I just, kind of go with the flow. But here in America too, it's all about participation. Every kid gets a trophy regardless of whether he plays well or not, and it's not about winning; it's about how you play the game, is the saying that we say here in America. Is it bad that we can be 1-0 and still feel dreadful? We will park the bus and hope we can hold on. I always say you can shoot a bullet at a wall and eventually it'll break through. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a problem, right? If you're going to play 1-0, if you're going to win 1-0, you have to keep possession and then just sit back and soak it up, especially when you're not playing well. No, like I said, 1-0 to me is not a good one. 2-0 to me isn't a good one. I say you still try to stay on the front foot as much as possible until you're about 3-0 up, and then you can kind of sit back and kill the game off. Another long list. That's not to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me. It's really hard for me to predict what's inside Jose's head, but yeah, I just hope. I just gotta hope. Try to stay positive and give him the benefit of the doubt until he shows me otherwise. Actually, right? And right now, he hasn't done anything in public to really make me feel like he's literally out to get people. Yeah, that's true. We've had some chances to score, and we definitely didn't finish them off. But there's other things too. Is I don't think that Jose has like take Thursday's game for example. What manager in their right mind would not go out and try to attack after going at least 2-0 down, right? Or even 1-0 down, right? Or even knowing that all you have to do is score one goal and the whole tie's over. No one in the right mind is going to sit back and just soak it up. I don't think that was Jose's tactics. I don't think that's how he set up to play. I don't think he picked the players to play that. I would have picked completely different players if that was my objective. But yeah, totally agree with you. Just hate the get the first goal and sit back mentality. But I agree. But I don't think it's Jose. I really don't. I think a lot of the players, I don't think Jose is telling them to sit back. I don't think Jose is telling them to sit back. I think that there might be such a dramatic. If you want to get me into my psychoanalysis of, let me lean back here for this one a little bit because my blurry background. I'm gonna try to lean back so my back doesn't break, but. My psychoanalysis of that whole Jose situation is I think there's such a huge shift between Pochettino and Mourinho that because maybe Pochettino didn't go into the locker room and really call them out on their mistakes. Right? Pochettino just kind of seemed like he patted people on their behinds a little bit. That some of the players are just shocked. I think there's a little bit of a culture shock going on at the club, and I think that people don't really know how to deal with it. And I think that might be the issue, right? Kind of like a little bit of Poch has gone PTSD type of a deal, and some of the players don't know how to handle the truth spoken in love. Right, Jose Mourinho is not going into the locker room and telling a player that they're crap just to make them feel bad. He's doing it to let them know that they need to change what they're doing on a daily basis. Do we actually deserve anything out of the season? I'm not sure, my man. I hope so. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. In the unlikely event that Enoch are bought out, are you willing to accept a season or two of mediocrity while we rebuild? Or do you want an instant fix? If the latter, does that point to a new manager? If the club were to be sold to somebody who is going to spend city money, I don't think we'd have to wait too long because I think they would just go out and spend city money. right? And this summer we would have, because we really only need 1, 2, 3, probably 4 or 5 big players. I mean, that sounds like a lot, right? 4 or 5 is a lot. But if we're talking like a new owner, like if Jeff Bezos comes in and buys the club, and he's got, Elon Musk comes in, the richest man in the world, and just, drops 200 million in a summer, what rebuild do we really need? Now, if we're talking like it's a Daniel Levy type situation, what kind of stuff should we do? Where could we go? Who should we buy? I'm willing. I'm always willing to sacrifice. And by mediocrity, what do you mean? Like Arsenal type mediocrity, or because I don't know if I could accept playing at that level, Bobby. I don't know if I could accept playing at the mediocrity of Arsenal. Don't know if I could do that. But right about where we're at, Europa League, I could handle that. I could handle that. Good question, Bobby. I love your questions. Yeah, they're saying, get on, Bobby, get on. Bobby's probably in his underpants cleaning out his daughter's underpants. We struggle to offload players. Yeah, Bobby, it's got to be like, what, 5 o'clock in the morning for you there. We struggle to offload players every summer. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Daniel Levy has an emotional attachment to the dollar value of his players. Right? I don't think it's a personal emotional attachment. I think it's a personal attachment to the dollar sign that he sees above every player's head in the club, and he doesn't want to let them go unless he gets that exact number that he imagines in his brain. Right? When you could go out, I mean, what other reason is there to have kept Eric Lamela over the last 4 seasons? Unless you're so upset that you're not going to get what you paid for, that you refuse to sell him. Man, I'm getting behind these chats. I need to stop ranting for so long. Yeah, but I think Bob's question, though, was about, unless you put in another one, it was if the board was sold. So that's a different question a little bit. I don't think it's JM either. I just can't wrap my head around why we default to whenever I'm telling you, it's the players. It's those players. I don't want to see anyone in that squad. I'm calling them the squad, right? The Jose out squad on the team. I don't want to see any of them in a Spurs shirt ever again. And you can ask me if you don't know who I'm talking about, put it in there and do that. Comes to the players and their mentality, they have to adapt to Jose and his way of doing things. I agree. I think Jose needs to put his foot down. I think he needs to send a couple of them to the U23s, strip them of their squad numbers, and that'll get people's. You only have to do it to one. Do it to Winks. He's young enough. Send him to the U23s. Take his shirt. The other ones will fall right in line. Then again, do we have funds to buy anyone? No, but I was like saying that was the hypotheticals that we had. We had a new owner who would hopefully do something. Jeff Bezos is cheap. Yep, Jeff Bezos is cheap. Most rich people are, to be honest with you. That's how they stay rich. Who would you want to buy our club at the moment, even if they could afford it? If I can't see anyone buying Spurs, I don't know. Elon Musk tends to look like he spends money on all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, what other rich guy goes out and is like, I'm going to go to the Mars, so I'm going to start my own space company so that I can go to Mars. And you know what would be cool if I could control people's minds with a microchip? Let's build that. Like Elon Musk just looks like he just likes to have fun, and he makes a ton of money doing it. I like Elon. He's a nice guy. I mean, I don't know if he's a nice guy, but The persona's cool. Will, you are about to hit England wake-up call. You will be awake for a long time. God, I hope not. If I may have to take a 5-minute break just to run down to the refrigerator and grab another beer because my throat's getting pretty dry. It looks like David. David was on so many shows today, dude. I could tell he's losing his voice. True, Mario. Yeah. He already did it to Rose, and the attitude hasn't changed. Yeah, but Rose was kind of gone, right? So Rose was out on loan, and he was kind of in that predicament before. And I think that Rose, everybody at the club, like when you're that guy who thinks I'm good enough, and they throw Danny Rose, who's older and he's coming to the end of his career, he's got to be like, it doesn't play that much of an impact, right? But if you were to take someone like Harry Winks, strip him of the shirt, send him to the U23s for a month, right? Bring him back and say, are you gonna step in line or are you not? I used to be in the military, so maybe I'm a little more harsh. You feel sorry for my kids. I actually don't believe in spanking, but I do like to give long talks. Poor kids, poor boys. As you can tell, I've been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Next question. Do you think that Harry Kane doesn't turn up in the big moments because when we need him the most, he doesn't show up? He had a chance to score against Arms. Yeah, no, I called him out on that. If you watched, it's hard to tell because David and Marcelo were kind of going on, but yeah, they were going after each other pretty good. So, but yeah, I said Harry Kane completely lost composure. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I just think Harry Kane, he get flustered. He doesn't have that confidence for whatever reason. I don't know what he needs to get it. He kind of did the same thing for England, to be honest with you, at the World Cup. Bobby would know better about that than me, though. But I watched every game. As a businessman, you think Levy would accept the devaluing of players? Well, you should. I don't think he necessarily likes it, though. Yeah, Elon Musk. Todd Klein. I don't know much about Todd Klein. Like, I know rich American dude, comic books and stuff like that, but I don't know anything about his personality, so I couldn't really comment on if he'd be a good owner for the club. Hindsight is 2020, but you'd have kept Poch and given him a chance to rebuild. I was a huge fan of Poch. Huge fan. I was devastated. I went as Poch's Halloween in 1920. No joke. I'll share that picture on my Twitter tomorrow morning. I always say I'm going to do that, and I keep forgetting, but I need to do it because it's pretty funny. Wig and everything. Get a beer. Give me one, too. Morning fry up, please. Terramana, if you have to try it. Try it. Haven't. Don't know. Rose told Mourinho some truths about some players. Well, yeah, but he didn't understand the truths about himself, though. Can we do a Hotspur chant live online? Let's do one. Moves. I'm not doing that one right now. Sorry, James. Sorry, James. James, join on in. Join. Yes, click the link. It's free. No, it is free. The link may be so far up that you can't see it anymore. But I'll put it in there again. Oh, by the way, we are streaming on both YouTube, Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Will Stewart THFC Rants, or a Facebook page. You can like that page. We are on Will Stewart THFC Rants on YouTube. We are on Will Stewart THFC Rants on Twitch. Any of you younger folks out there that know how Twitch works, can you tell me why my videos don't stay up there even after the stream's done, like they do in the other places? I know why they don't on Twitter, because it's going through Periscope. I'm not sure why those, like, if you were to go on Twitch right now and put in Will Stewart THFC Rants, all one word, no spaces or anything, you'd be able to watch the stream like we're doing it right now. But it is, but then it disappears. Poof. I think there is an Eric Lamela chant. I'm not a fan of Eric Lamela, so I don't ever sing that chant. So forgive me for looking like a noob who doesn't know it. I'm guessing that was he was gating me. He was getting me. Canteen Floss. I don't know who Canteen Floss is. Is that a person in the chat? I don't know. I'll have to Google that one, my friend. Thoughts on Villa tomorrow? I think we're going to win. If we can get a reaction out of the players, if we can keep the Todd Klein turn of getting the stadium sponsor. Yeah, I mean, that's what he does, right? That's what he's famous for, right? I don't think any of that money, not one dime of that stadium sponsorship money is going to go towards players. It's all going to go to the balance on the books. Thoughts on Villa tomorrow? I think we're going to win. If we can keep the negative poison off the field. And that's kind of why I want Vinicius to play on the left. But yeah. I think there's a setting that you turn on for VODs to be available. Yeah, I'll have to do some research. I'm like 40 years old, so I'm not into the hip stuff like Discord and Twitch. Although I do watch the kickoff on Twitch and stuff like that. LOL, don't answer that. Someone's trolling me. Todd Klein, in terms of getting the stadium sponsor, yeah. Right, just kidding on the mill, Will. We are you from in the U.S. I'm outside Philly. I've been to Philly a couple times. I live in North Carolina, so I'm down here south, but I am on Eastern time. Thank you, Michael David. Zekli? You have to put that out phonetically for me so I can do that. I'm horrible with Eastern European type names. Famous Mexican actor. Don't know why I was related to the conversation though. Yeah, I'm not. I do watch. What was that show on Netflix? The football comedy. Crows. The Crows. Come on, help me out, guys. On Netflix. The Mexican drama. That was funny. Football drama where they had the owner's brother and the sister. They go through all this stuff, crazy stuff, and all that good stuff. True. Will, you're going to be the Seinfeld of the Tottenham fans? Man, I hope so. I don't know if I'm that funny. Maybe I am. Starting 11 tomorrow. Okay, this is Will. If I was the manager, this isn't who I think will play. This is not a predicted lineup. This is Will's starting 11, right? We sacked Jose. They call me up and say, Will, we want you to manage the game tomorrow. Who are you going to play? I'd play Vinicius on the left, Kane up top, Bale on the right, Moore in the hole, Højbjerg and Ndombele, Reguilon, Toby, Sanchez and or Dyer. You know what? Let's throw Roden in there just for fun. Toby, Rodin, Ore. That's who I would play. Or Tanganga. That's who I'd play. Because I figure if you're gonna have holes in your back line, why not give some younger guys a chance? And then just tell them, hey, go out and just be free, just be you, no pressure. Players only feel pressure when they feel like it's come from the coach, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. Is I think a lot of the players, the reason why sometimes it looks like they're holding back, even though Jose's telling them to go forward, is that they feel like they're going to get, just absolutely crushed in the locker room if they give the ball away even once, right? They've seen Deli get crushed. They've seen this person get crushed. I think there's a lot of fear. What conversation? We're just having fun. Yeah, we're just having fun. Yeah, no, I agree. Tomorrow's all about who scores first. I think you guys are absolutely right. I really do. And I think, yeah. Great squad. Thanks, James. I think so. I think they need to call me up. And A1 either need to help them with social media here in the US because it's kind of Eurocentric. And or two, get me to be a scout. Scout all these American folks. I think I have a pretty good eye, especially for attacking talent. Get Marcelo as the defensive scout and bring me in as the offensive scout. And I think we could put together a pretty good team with the fair price as well. Yeah, I mean, you give Tanganga a chance to center back too. Honestly, I don't care who you put next to Toby as long as Toby's there for now. Right? I think Toby's old. A lot of his legs are gone, and he definitely needs to be replaced. Right? Like priority ASAP. But I think it's a Virgil van Dijk type situation, right? When you have one center back who absolutely commands that back line, not only with just raw, it's kind of like the the Lion King, that Mufasa type aura around you, right? That man smell, right? When you've got that man smell on you as a center back, and you can command that back line, just not even with words, but just aura, then I think it really does change the players around you. And I don't think that Toby is anywhere at Virgil van Dijk's level of exuding that aura, but I don't think you need two. I think you can get away with one. I really do. I really think you get away with one. If they're that type of person, like Sergio Ramos is that kind of a person. Even if he's good for a mistake himself, he's able to, exude confidence that makes other people better. The Americanized version of the Hungarian. So what if Spurs score first? It hasn't necessarily indicated a Spurs win in the past. The season hasn't. No, most of the time it does, though. It's just nice to score first, right? Doesn't it make you, as a Spurs fan, when that first goal goes in and it's us, doesn't that make you feel a little bit better, though? Right? Because the first 10 minutes, like somebody asked me when I was on Tottenham away one time, and if you guys haven't checked out that channel, check that channel out. They're a good channel too. I think I'll be going on there in April sometime, first week of April. And I said, they asked me, when do I get nervous? When do I get nervous watching it? And it's right when the ball is kicked off. Right at kickoff. As soon as that first ball is kicked, and I can see how shaky, how wobbly our team comes out, it's like a newborn horse. Newborn horse. Getting up, stumbling around, flopping around. That's when I get nervous. If it wasn't for the boys having a tent night downstairs and my daughter not pooping for the UK, I'd be on, buddy. Will, what gave you the Spurs bug and your best Spurs moments so far? Sorry, Bobby. I just read your other comment out of the corner of my eye. If it wasn't for my Spurs story. Well, I got into watching football itself around 2002. Not 2000, 2003. So it was just after the 2002 World Cup. In October of 2003, I went to Korea. I got stationed there. Because of the 2002 World Cup, football is really popular in England. I hung out with a lot of Korean folks. They were watching a lot of different football matches and stuff like that. I think it was like Asian Games or something like that was going on then. And came back to the States, finished school in 2006, right at the World Cup. All my friends in school, last year of school, were all Koreans. And so, we watched the World Cup together, 2006 World Cup in Germany. Had the Korean scarves on. We were chanting Tae Heung-min Gook, pa 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 pa. And yeah, that's really kind of when I started falling in love with the game, started watching more. It was mostly like international type stuff. Korean national team, US men's national team, stuff like that. And then I would say probably around 2008, I moved back to Korea and I started watching because the EPL will come on late nights in Korea, and I'm a night owl. I start to watch a lot of the matches, and so my stepdad is British. He's born in Tottenham, been a Tottenham supporter his whole life. His dad's been a Tottenham supporter his whole life. So there's some generational thing there. So when I started kind of getting into the game, I was talking to stepdad about it, on Messenger or whatever. And I was like, I'm starting to watch some of these games, who should I support, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, if you don't support Tottenham, you'll never get to see your mother again. So, jokes aside, so I started checking out the Spurs, and then especially I would watch it every now and again. But like I said, the matches over there were coming on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So it was really kind of hard to be, consistent with it. And then when Sonny joined in 2014, I moved back to the States just for 2015. So the second half of the season. And that's really kind of when I started watching things regularly on the weekends. And then when my son got old enough, when he started playing like U10s, and he got real serious into it, that's when I became an absolute, that was in 2017. So 4 years as an absolute maniac, 7 years as a serious fan, and probably 15 years as a casual fan. That's my Spurs story. Sorry, David, I stole your thunder. So after the last game against Zagreb, what should we be hopeful for? Top 4? Can we win in the Carabao this season? A disappointment? It's possible. Anything's possible. It just really depends. I hated him, but I think John Terry had a man smell. Yeah. And then this one's funny. He pulled his headphones out just as I'm yelling man smell, and she was like, "What are you watching?" Oh, well. Yeah, Dave, I'm ashamed, man. I'm telling you, like I said, I could do this all night. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here. I've been for 2.5 hours. We're just rock and roll. I'm just chatting here and answering questions, man. Looking down the whole time. Yeah. I don't know why my camera's see, I'm telling you, last night I had audio issues. Today I'm having focal issues. I've pressed the button several times and it just won't focus, but I'll get it straightened out. But what's weird is that I go on a lot of different streams for other people and I never have a problem. But when it's my stream, something's always going wrong. But that's okay. We are Tottenham TV has way more technical issues than I do. So Yeah, that's not a random comment. That is absolute fact right there, my man. Who would my transfer targets? Yeah, everybody's going on about center back. Everybody's going on about center midfielder, center attacking midfielder. Yeah, everybody's going on about right back. I agree with those. I think an absolute essential piece is we need a right winger. If we're not going to re-sign Bale, or if Bale is not in the form that he was in those 2 games where he played really well, or 4 or 5 games in a row, then we have to get a right winger. I think it's absolutely essential. I really want another center defensive midfielder. I don't feel like Ndombele is a true number 8. I think some of his skills are kind of be wasted there. I would really like to pick up. I think we should go in for Tyler Adams. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mario, that Bale can be a liability. But what I'm saying is that that's why we need a right winger. So I think that like if we could pull Rafinha from Leeds, I think he could get a look. If we could go with who's that guy from Brazil? I always forget. I don't know why I forgot his name all of a sudden. Probably it's because I've been talking for the last 2.5 hours and my brain's about fried. But I'll think of it later. But and then I think Chuck Lozano. What do you guys think about that, Mario? I think we should bring Chuck Lozano in to play right wing. What do you think? I think we get Chucky from Napoli, right? Don't you think Chucky would want to play in the Premier League? Camera's goodwill. We see you just fine. Name some players. Sorry, Will Bays, elaborate girly. What about Skip for CDM? Yeah, we could have Skip for CDM. I just think he's just going to be a little bit new, right? I think you're a little bit new. You're a beast, Will. Went out with the fiance and you're still going. Yeah, I am, man. Streaming monster. I'm only still here because you guys are still here. If you guys aren't here, then there's no reason for me to be. So some more of you guys could come on and chat, and then I can take a break. We need to focus on selling the Dross this summer, but that would require being ruthless. I want to be ruthless. I really do. Jason, thank you very much. Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing the thing. I appreciate that. Neymar, Chucky gonna cost 50 plus. Hey, that's okay. I think Lozano would be a nice grab. Yeah, there's better, but not that cheap. I think Chucky's last time I see, I'm a nerd like this, so I go to like Transfer Market almost every day and I start looking up players. But the last price I saw on Chucky for on the Transfer Market was like I think 38 million pounds. I could be wrong. Yeah, speed on both flanks and designs. I agree. Lozano, no. Jimenez, yes. Yeah. What does Bale need to do to earn another contract? Or do you think it's unlikely now, regardless? P.S. I'm referring to you as a man smell from now on. Hey, that's no problem. That can be my nickname. Gotta get that man smell. Are you gonna clip that one, Bobby? You put that in a Rambo video? Gotta get that man smell. How about the Southampton player who plays on the left wing? I mean, he's okay. He's good. I'm drawing a blank. I can see his face right now. He was tearing us up on the left-hand side. I'm drawing a blank on his name though. It's like I said, it's 1:30, almost 1:30 in the morning. I'm coming up on hour 3 of the number 2 stream. I'm gonna have to cut this down into chops so that people will actually watch the whole thing. What is his name? Is he very fast? Who's that? Ward Prowse. I'd rather have Chuck Lozano than Ward Prowse. I want someone who scores goals, right? I need someone who gets at least 10 to 12 goals a year, right? If you're not getting 10 to 12 goals as a winger, right? We got to have a 19, 20, 18, 19, could you imagine an equivalent of Son and another right winger in Kane versus Mane and Salah, right? Because Firmino doesn't score a whole lot of goals, right? So, Eric Wong says, when will Son recover for his hamstring injury? Do you want my sarcastic answer or my serious answer? Hopefully soon. It's a possibility. You know how Mourinho likes to play tricks like he did last time. He could be back tomorrow, for all we know. You know that game against Southampton when he scored 4, when he got those 4 against Southampton, and Mourinho said he wasn't supposed to be in the team. I had him on the bench in my fantasy team. You know how pissed off I was? The Mourinho says he's not going to play, that he's injured, and I sub him. I put him on the bench on my fantasy team, and he comes out and scores 4. And everybody else that I had played. Do you know how pissed off I was? If I'm going to beat Jose out, that's going to be the reason right there, just for that. Bastard. Is it Tenjepo? Bro, I don't even know who that is, my man. Are you guys talking to me? Or are you guys talking amongst yourself? Redmond? Yeah. Tenjepo. I haven't heard of Tenjepo. I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to look at him. My phone's telling me it's time for bed. Tenjepo. I will go to do research on him today. Forgive me if I'm not up on. I know who Redmond is. Tenjepo. It might be Tenjepo. I'll have to research it. Probably I'm gonna try to do a little bit earlier. I think 10 o'clock. Maybe a little maybe a little late. I don't know. You guys tell me what time works for you. Is this a good time, or is a little earlier better, or what? Cue the Barry White. That was for Bobby. The man smell. That's my Hodge twins impression. Yeah, don't trust Jose. Yeah, I know. It killed me. Probably. I don't know. That could be true. To be honest with you, I don't watch that much. I do watch. My son's a big kind of like Juventus fan. It's his number 2 favorite team. So I do watch a little bit of La Liga, or not La Liga. I'm sorry, Serie A. But yeah. Oh yeah, Tenjepo's a winger. He's good. Yeah, I haven't had any desire this year. At the very beginning of the season, I did have some Kyle Walker-Peters into my fantasy team, but I haven't brought any Southampton players into my team, so I haven't done any statistical analysis of Southampton players. It's only the eye test when we play against them, and that's only been twice, right? Or once. I don't even remember. I'm getting loopy now. Tenjepo's a winger. He's good. Good deal. Left winger. Sorry, right. You guys are confusing me now. If Son leaves, we don't only lose a class player, but surely millions generated from the Asian market. You know that better. Yeah, no, not millions. Like tens of millions. Because Son isn't only the most popular player in Korea. He's the most popular player in all of Asia. China, Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, right? They're all big Son fans. And if we lose Son, who is the most famous Asian footballer in the world, it's a huge out. Huge loss. Huge loss. Well, I don't think we would have a problem selling a lot of the wood on our team if Levy was willing to accept what people offered. Right? It's like when I've already bought a new car and I've got a used car that I'm wanting to sell. Do I really want to sit there and haggle over, right, an extra $300 or $400 in the price, or do I just want to get rid of that pile of junk sitting in my driveway? Right? Like, I mean, seriously, I don't understand Levy's logic sometimes. It's really confusing. Jared Mourinho has like 10 plus goals in La Liga, so many, but he's a good shot for the right side. Yeah. My requirement for an attacking player is for a winger, it's got to be 10 goals and at least 6 assists a season. That's what I want to see consistently over like a 3 or 4 year period. You know, up and down, obviously. And then from like a center attacking midfielder, 10-10s, right? That's got to be what's going on. As a soccer fan, thoughts on MLS? A joke? No, I think MLS is getting a lot better. I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't watch a whole lot of MLS, and as an American, that may be a heresy. I don't know, but I don't watch a lot of MLS, to be honest with you. I do support Sporting Kansas City, as I'm originally from Missouri, although I'm from St. Louis, and we just got a team this year, so maybe I'll switch allegiances because it really doesn't mean that much to me. But I am Tottenham until I die. Do you still think it's possible for Spurs to strive to be the top 4 of the league? Really bad situation right now. It's possible. The points are there. You know, we're only 6 points back. We could be, you know, even if we don't move ahead of West Ham tomorrow, you know, I'm not going to root for the scum to win. You're not ever going to see that. I could root for the scum to draw. Now, granted, obviously, mathematically, the best result would be for the scum to beat West Ham, but I'm not ever rooting for that lot to do anything other than pick the gum out of my shoes. What is the beer of choice tonight? The beer of choice tonight was Blue Moon. I had a Blue Moon. And maybe that's why my camera went all wonky, focus-wise. You know what I can do without? I think I can manual focus this puppy. No, there it went. No, I'm just going to do it. It's late enough. I don't care anymore. There we go. Now I'm in focus and I can sit back. I don't have to suck the screen. And that'll disappear in like 3 minutes. I'm getting loopy. 10 minutes, I'm calling it a night, folks. I've been on 3 hours. Tonight, it's early in the morning. No, for you, it's early in the morning, Mario. For me, it's 1:30 in the morning. And I've been up since 8. And I only slept 4 hours yesterday. My son had a game this morning. So, yeah. They lost 1-0. And my son missed a shot in the last 2 minutes, like by inches wide of the bar in the last 2 minutes. He was devastated. It was okay, though. The pass was a little behind him, and he was a little off balance, but it was a good effort, though. Indeed, Mario. Frank Kessie of AC Milan. Yeah. I like Rodrigo from that's who that's really who I've been looking at. And the young boy Varane. Varane. Great stream. Look for the next one. Damn it, you missed the stream. You can always go back and watch it, my man. You can always go back. I know it's not as fun to rewatch, especially a 3-hour stream. Not Rodrigo from Leeds. Rodrigo from he plays for Real Madrid, but he doesn't start a whole lot. And he is right winger, but he looks good on the ball. He really does look good. Yeah, check him out. I'm a big fan. I subscribe to Brazil Scout, and I like to watch a lot of highlight videos. And he was one guy that really caught my eye, just the way he moved, the eye test. Ivan Toney's another person that I'd like to see if we ever had to sell Harry Kane. If we had to sell Harry Kane this summer and we can't get anybody else, Ivan Toney would be absolutely phenomenal, I think. I really do. I know he's not proven yet, but I just got a feeling. And then, good night, sir. Thank you. Love the stream and the idea behind it. Look forward to going on in the future. Have a good night. Yeah, and by the way, if everybody's watching, anyone's available to join the stream. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope / Twitter, and Twitch. And all that good stuff. I'll join live stream next time. Thank you, Will. Yeah, we'll be on tomorrow night. Probably going around about, I'm going to try to get on by 10 o'clock Eastern time, United States tomorrow. So 7 Pacific. And yeah. Thank you guys for joining. It's been an absolute blast. The stream keeps growing and growing. More people are getting on and gone and on as the night goes by. We started off with, but it's held pretty steady at around 17. So those must be the faithful, or people are jumping off and jumping on. Names keep changing in the chat, but big shout out to Mario Escobar. He's been on all night. I think he's over in England. And the Wayne Bonner, he's always supported me no matter where I came on. And all the new faces too with Mexico Spurs SC. It's the first time I've seen you. Eunice from last night. James as well from last night. Jason and Michael and Bobby, and also when I'm forgetting David, I'm tired. But yeah. 92 Flamethrower, you're an amazing dude too. Yeah, please share this out to all your friends. Just if you got a supporters group, tag a video, say, hey, here's a new content, prime time, America's time, from 10 Eastern to at some point in time when I start to get going on this and I've got a lot of people on, the goal is to go from 10 Eastern to 10 Pacific. That's my goal, is 3 hours. Rocket from East Coast to West Coast, and we all get to say goodbye. Oh, Mario Escobar, you're in VA, ODP. So you know me from ODP, is what you're saying, in VA. You know my son, Paul? I don't remember. My apologies. I used to hang out with Henry's dad and Kyler and Jack's dads, Mark and those guys. I don't remember you, Mario. Please forgive me. But my son played for ODP in VA 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Tottenham till you die. Come on, you Spurs. That's absolutely right. Coming up on a midnight here. You're absolutely right. I agree. Midnight. Okay, where you're at, you're Central Time. Central Time. It's 1:30 my time. I'm coming up on my 3rd hour of streaming. Any more questions? Any more questions? Last call. Last call for questions. Last call from questions. So that's my goal, is to go from 10 Eastern to 10 Pacific on days that are applicable. At least want to try to go every other day. Some days like today, like I'll go pre-match and post-match, stuff like that. I'm out well. She's not pooped for over an hour, so looking good. All right, peace out, man. Smell. Chat tomorrow. Take it easy, Bobby. Take it easy, Bobby. Don't go, Will. I won't go. Leon Bailey of Bayer Leverkusen. Yes, I would take Leon Bailey in an absolute heartbeat. And I don't think he'd cost that much either. We could probably get him cheaper than we could get Chucky, don't you think? Don't go. I'll be back tomorrow, man. I got to go sleep and wake up and watch this game. I got to mow the lawn tomorrow, too. I mow the lawn. Yep, Leon. I'd do Leon Bailey in a heartbeat. He's great. Starting lineup tomorrow. Predicted or Wills? I think I did mine, but I don't know. I think Bergwijn, Kane, Bale. This is predicted now. Bergwijn, Kane, Bale, Højbjerg, Ndombele, Reguilon, Toby Alderweireld, Sanchez, and Aurier. I think that's who will play tomorrow. I hope. Jose sacked if we lose tomorrow, you reckon? Well, actually, we didn't cover that, but I don't think we did cover that, but I hope not. I don't. Even if we end up 5th or 6th, I don't think there's any reason. I don't think there's going to be a difference. I'd rather give him one more transfer window and try to replicate what we did at the beginning of this season and then carry it till the end. Right? Because if he could do that, get us that far up that quick and for that long with this lot, what could he do with an actual team? Game is at 4. Yeah, I know. But my boy has a game tomorrow morning too. Sorry, 3. Yeah, time changed. Time change. All that dang time changing. All right, guys. Well, it's 3 o'clock and my mouth feels like it's filled with cotton. So as I get used to this, I'm going to be able to do it longer. And I'm going to try to, bring that down. I've got my camera set on a little fancy thing so I can move it around and up and down. But that's why it's wobbling right now. But yeah. So I'm going to try to go 3 hours every night that I do this. Maybe not some nights. It just depends. You guys have been a great audience today. I haven't been bored. I'm telling you what, you guys make this real easy. You guys make this absolutely an easy job. If you guys weren't in here keeping me company and letting me rant and rave and chit chat with you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this for hours. But you would like to send me a Termina Bato. All right, I'll have to get a P.O. box or something. I think you send it. But yeah. Any hoots? I want you guys to keep your chins up, stay strong, stay Spurs, and good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.